pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, sorry that started a little bit late here. All right, this is the time of the meeting that we always open up to the public that has, if they don't have anything or they got something that's not on the agenda they want to talk about, and gives them an opportunity to say something or talk about an issue without us actually being able to act on that. So is there anybody here that's got anything that wants to talk about?
I have a question.
Yes.
When's the meeting gonna be held for the transfer station?
Well, actually, let me clarify that, because I put out something, and first of all, who are you?
Marvin Glass. I
Okay.
have a question though. When's this meeting gonna be?
Well, actually, there was never going to be a meeting. I mean, if we decide that we're going to do something different, we're gonna have, and my intentions were to always have a open hearing to where people could come talk about, here's what we're thinking about, and what are you, if anybody got any yays or nays on that. I know I posted something last night about, hey, I wanted the public input, and some people took that as we were voting tonight, and that's absolutely.
My thing is just a question though. When's gonna be discussed what's going on for everything?
Well, actually, again, this started back, a year ago, probably.
Yeah.
Tim Meeks was our person out there, and Tim came with a quote from ECO, which does the system out there, for $171,000 to replace the two compactors. At that time, my small brain started trying to figure out, is that a good price, which I thought was not, because that's not even including the cost of installing it. So the way wages are, I'm assuming there's probably gonna be another $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 to install. So I got thinking about it, went to the mayor of Scottsburg and to see what they were doing. And of course, at that time, I found out that Austin was, they were also processing all Austin's waste. And what I mean by waste is when people do trash pickups, when they drive around with the garbage truck and pick the trash up, they bring it down here and dump it here. That we don't do that in the county. We have those 3 locations that we allow people to dump out on certain hours and certain days of the week. But as far as the transfer station, it was still, a 5 or 5.5 day, 5 and Saturday part of the day operation. Tim has since retired, and that's thrown another wrench into the thing about, do we keep on going with the way it is? Do we change it? And quite honestly, my intentions was just to ask the public, their concerns or whatever. And I got a slew of opinions, and that's what I was asking for, because I want to know if people that live out on Harridge Road, that's a long drive all the way out to the end of the other county to dump their stuff. But anyway, like I said, the post was for information from the public. Right now, there's no push to go one way or the other. And actually, I was probably going to ask tonight of the rest of the commissioners here if we wanted to actually open a bid or an ad for a full-time person out there, because right now it's still business as usual. If something would happen with one of those compactors, it might change the whole story. But to answer your question is, there's no definite date. There's no.
It may not happen at all.
It may not happen at all. Because we haven't sat down, officially with the city and talked about it. I know what it's going to cost, or what because they did talk with their boards and they have a cost. It's between $25,000 and $30,000 for them to process our waste. But also, and I posted this again later, because I've asked other commissioners in other counties what they do with like a landfill type of situation, and these guys all kind of laugh at me because none of them have one. I mean, their thought was they can call Rumpke or, you know, VIP or, you know, one of the other services, and they take care of it. So, and I think I asked the question of Bob and Kelly before, and they said that they kind of did it years and years ago for the fact they were trying to get people to quit throwing trash out on the roadways. Whether that helped some or a little bit, you know, I don't know. I mean, it's, you know, I've seen places where there's out off the end of Marshfield and Terry Road. I know it gets wet down there, and probably some of that trash gets moved around, but it seems like somebody wants to dump a bag of trash down there all the time, so.
It comes out in the spring for some reason, the waters come
Yeah.
up and
Yeah. So anyway, there's not an answer. I mean, I know that, some people got upset like it was gonna happen, but it's a thought. And if, like I said, if the compactors go down tomorrow, it'd be a bigger thought. You know, do we spend the money to keep doing what we're doing there, or do we go a different direction and get out of the trash business? But, and the other thing I wanna kind of, I guess, inform people, that site was a dump, and underneath 18 inches or 20 inches of dirt is trash from 1960, 1970, and 80s, until the state came in and said you can't do that anymore. So there will, you know, in my lifetime, and probably Randy's lifetime, there'll never be anything built on that property, probably never. Hey,
You're already on the
You're-
other side.
so am I. That's what I said. I know that I'm not ever gonna live to see the day that somebody ever builds anything on that property. And I, you know, as far as I know, EPA would never allow it, so, so the property is kind, you know, when or if anything ever would happen, it'd probably stay fenced in, and you know, probably just be a field.
we'd have to
I
go
mean-
and do all the natural EPA stuff.
Yeah, we'd have to maintain it like it's a dump, and that's what it is. And we do know that when you came into office, you had a methane test done out there, and there's not a lot of methane escaping out there, but it's still a dump, and I don't know how deep it is. I mean, but you know, it's just, that's the way it is. So,
Okay, thank you.
so did I answer any of your
Yes,
questions?
you did, thank you.
I think, I'm not wrong, I think, Ms. Glass, you run the reuse center, don't you? That's what I thought.
Well, that part would never change. I mean, that's something that I think as a county, we are mandated to have that in our,
Reuse center?
yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I might be wrong, I probably am, but.
Well, I think that's run by the Southeast District,
That's,
Yeah.
and we're mandated to give them a spot.
I think that's correct.
Okay.
I know they're in a separate thing, but I think that's mandated by us to be in that organization and have a place. But I do know, and I will say this again, when I became a commissioner, the first anonymous letter I got in the mail was from someone that said that our trash was not being recycled. And I'll be quite honest, I don't think it is. I mean, I know there were some comments on Facebook about people saying, well, there is no quote unquote recycle center, and I know the mayor is working on another building that he's gonna put up, and he's got somebody there in the recycle business that says that he'd do it for free. So nothing's for free though, but anyway,
I would like to get started on the process, you're right.
do
Said something
I?
about
Yes,
that.
I'd like to do that tonight, just
'Cause I
tell
wanna
Tammy.
make sure we got somebody else.
I think we need to just go ahead and put the ad out for a full-time person out there, and see where we go from there. But right now, there's no plans to stop that, and it was more of an informational thing of, there's a lot of times people, if, you ask the question, you don't get any response, and if you ask the question, you get the responses you want. That's technically what I wanted. I wanted to know if how much was gonna hit the fan if we did something different, or when we decide, if we have to, what is the needs and concerns of the people, so. And quite honestly, I appreciated a lot of the information that people are relaying. Some of it was, like people saying, well, why are they, I guess I saw one ad or one post that somebody made a comment about why does county not, why aren't they being taxed for property they own? Well, let me look at that. We're gonna tax ourselves and then we're gonna turn around and pay ourselves back, so it's kind of a, I don't quite
Where you go with that, yeah.
understand that, so. Anyway, did I answer whatever you?
Yeah, so my main concern was the ground itself, and what was the other part of it, it's just the ground itself. I'm pretty sure it couldn't ever be used for anything again, that nobody ever tried to bring anything in there again, because I knew it shouldn't be used for anything again.
No, it won't.
That's kind of my concern right there.
Yeah, no, there's nothing, there would never be anything that, especially back where, the dump part was. Now, out there at the dry part, I mean, where your guys' building is and stuff, I mean, in the other building, there's nothing underneath that, but I wouldn't see the county be doing anything with that, so. So, anyway, with that, anybody else? All right, Michael, you're up.
You gonna come up here or stand?
You
stand
come
here?
sit down, whatever you wanna do.
Come sit by Michelle. Give her a hard time. Since I didn't recognize her last time I saw her.
Okay.
She was incognito that day. Tammy, thank you very much. Zach Chester, Executive Director with the Scott County District Commission. So I want to introduce myself. This is, I think, our first time to meet. So, know Randy from the community, but I'm here, and I'm glad Marty's here from representing the Scott County Herald, because I'm about ready to do something that I'm not sure has ever been done from our organization. But I'm here to ask for help. Sorry, I want that to sink in for just a second. Dramatic pause. As you know, came back a little while ago and told you about our plans and asked for permission to utilize the courthouse lawn for Christmas decorations for this coming holiday season. Well, we have invested about $16,000 in static displays that we'll be putting up around the courthouse, so everything is moving forward. We've got about another $3,000 that will be invested in rebar to support the static displays, as well as electrical cords and stakes, that sort of thing. And where I need help is I am needing a place to store these items after the holiday is over, where it would be safe and secure, that as we go through and begin looking at 2022 and the holiday season, we can begin ordering additional items when the season is not in full swing, and once China starts producing more again, that we can purchase over the period of time to add to that display, and then again store them and keep them safe. And I'm here today to ask if there is any location that you might be aware of that would have space, or eventually have space if there was an auction to be held to take care of eliminating some of the space.
What size of space do you need?
Yeah.
Probably about the size of a garage,
So it's
Small.
20 by 20 or something?
something like that.
You could surely do that out
Yeah,
the health department, couldn't it?
yeah, we could do it at the old John Jones buildings, put you off an
You
area.
could find room out there, couldn't you? Good place.
Oh, yeah.
For a garage, enough space to,
I don't know, go the days and see. Might have to get with the sheriff and move some stuff around, but I think it should.
That would be awesome.
it's hard to
I'll give
move,
you a
I'd
shout.
agree with it.
So we talking something that can be stacked, or it's just so many items that has to be,
Part of it is just so many items. Initially, they're gonna come in boxes, and they're gonna be in various sizes from 7 feet to 5 feet or higher. we're actually going to be renting a U-Haul truck driving just to the north side of Nashville to pick this all up versus going through the cost of shipping. It's much, we can do it for a third of the price by renting a U-Haul and paying the gas even at $3.25 a gallon
I mean,
and mileage, so.
The stuff you got, it doesn't have to be heated or anything like that.
No,
So
doesn't
we
it?
could even, if that doesn't work out, we could probably ride over to Nazarene Church if we needed to. I mean, it's just an empty building, we may use it sometime next year, but,
Yep.
it's just empty space right now.
I think we can find some space,
Yeah.
one way or the other.
Okay, that'd be great. I'll sit down
Yeah.
and check with Michelle and we'll
Yeah.
schedule time to go and take a look. But
Sounds good.
thank you all very much.
So that was it?
That was it.
Come back.
I mean,
I'm just
Yeah.
curious, how do you feel like we're going? Is Scott County making great strides as far as,
we're doing well, I think.
I mean, compared to 10 years ago, you see,
Oh, absolutely,
okay.
yeah.
More heads in the beds, that's what I always hear
You
about,
know,
heads in the
10
bed.
years ago, and again, I would have to go back and ask some of my peers, but 10 years ago, we weren't having bus companies call and saying, hey, we'd like to bring a bus tour to Scott County. Can you go through and put together a tour for us?
Yeah.
And we had that happen this year. We had a group, the tour driver, tour bus company is out of Fort Wayne. We had a group out of Sheridan, Indiana. And for those of you that are familiar with Sheridan, it's Scottsburg 5-10 years ago. So it's a rural community that has lots of great ambitions, ideas, but they're located just outside Indianapolis. They're in Hamilton County, but in the northwest corner of Hamilton County, so they have to deal with the Zionsvilles and the Knowlesvilles and the Carmels and now the Westfields of the world and how they're developing and doing things. So they're trying to figure out what their niche is and what their piece is. And we started the day with a little reception at the train station. And they're in the process right now, ironically, of getting their train station and going through the process of refurbishing it. So that started off with great gangbusters for us. And we then took them on a tour, covered a lot of different historical sites from Pigeon Roost. And by the way, John, I want to thank you for everything that you have put forward in that property. It looks wonderful. It looks the best it's looked. It makes it easy to take people there because it's now truly a destination for us to take people. But I do want to ask you one thing. I don't know who to talk to about, and I'm sorry I'm getting derailed here, but the railroad track incline there is too steep for a motor coach to get up. I don't know, is that, and this is a thing, just talking out loud, is that, do we reach out to the railroad? Is that something?
Look behind you there.
Yeah, all the railroad approaches are handled by railroad department themselves.
Okay,
They own pretty much 15 feet on each side of the track, is what they consider their territory.
so if they have not built it to grade, because if you can't get a bus up there, you couldn't even get a school bus up there right now.
Yeah, we can't take our semi across.
Yeah.
So you're saying it's dragging? It'll bottom out?
It would.
Oh, yeah. Motor coaches
It's
there.
pretty steep.
To go back and forth. Yeah. I could just take my car
I
up.
didn't realize that.
But, okay, I'll reach out to the railroad and start that 3-year process.
At least.
Yeah.
I called,
That's on the
That's if they
fast
call you.
Yeah.
I got old state and asked about putting a couple signs on the interstate, so maybe you can help.
track. Happy to.
Yeah.
But anyway, getting back to the tour, you know, we took them all over Scott County. Had lunch out at Hardy Lake. They did a raptor tour, raptor demonstration out there, which was pretty cool. You know, it's good. I mean, you know, goat milk stuff. They got to play with baby goats and see the production facility and the barn. So, you know, everybody's happy. So they're talking about coming back next year and doing a 2-day event. Now, one day will be a stay here in our hotels and go elsewhere, whether it's the casinos or into Louisville or, who knows where, Madison maybe for a day, but they're planning on spending another day here in Scott County, just touring and seeing new things.
Are we having any discussion about maybe another festival? Again, I know the tomato festivals, everything got shut off because of COVID. I didn't know if there's anything in the works.
Well, our office has kind of taken over the reorganization of Scottsburg Main Street. And I know that the Main Street organization or the group of merchants wants to do another downtown festival. We're in the process right now of going through the application process with Okra at the state level to start that certification process as a Main Street. That was dropped about a year ago, right before COVID hit, when everything just kind of dropped. There's a lot of organizations that are very similar to the size of ours that are going through the same process. So we're with Haunted Downtown and all of those activities. That's kind of the first real push in getting the Main Street reorganized. But board's given our office the opportunity to go in, just kind of help kind of get them organized so that January 1, they've got a full board, they've got executive committee, and they can begin with the proper committee structures to move forward on a downtown event.
I will say our downtown's, it seems like in the last year, there's been a lot of things happening downtown.
Sure has.
And, geez, something going on there, Marty?
Oh, yeah.
That's what I thought. So one more. Well, I'm saying our square, I mean, advertise that right, we need just more people downtown, I think.
Yeah, I think they've approved the sale of that building.
They have.
Yeah.
So I
To
can see,
an existing downtown tenant, actually.
yeah.
That is true.
So that's good news, so I think there's some good things happening,
It's great news.
and we want to capitalize on it. And I know you help the merchants at times whenever they need it for this and that, so,
Yeah, it's one of those things where a rising tide raises all ships.
yeah.
That's what we gotta do.
So about the Christmas displays, and I know you're a one-man ship over there, so when it comes Christmas time or after Thanksgiving or right before Thanksgiving or whatever, when you're talking about putting these up, how are you gonna get them up?
I've got a gentleman that I used to contract with when I was with running the chamber in St. Matthews. He would set up about 3 times as many displays as what we're gonna have in Brown Park over there, and he would start right after Halloween. He starts setting up.
So you have that capability?
Yeah, we've got a guy, he's got 4 guys that he brings in, plus his wife, and they just have fun setting it up.
Is this the same thing we were talking about in the past about Charlestown? Picking
It's a
up,
little different.
I mean, but at one time we were gonna get a lot of their old stuff, that's,
Yeah, they're still moving forward with their original program.
okay.
They're just changing suppliers, it's called.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good.
Any other questions? This has been good. All right, well, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Tammy, thanks for getting me on over. And I'll talk to you.
You probably bumped out a
Okay.
couple people.
I'm on vacation next week.
Thank you,
I'm on
Mom. I
vacation
have
next week.
other people mad at me now, but it's okay.
You're doing your job with
I'm
somebody.
doing my job.
Actually, I did
was
have
upset.
Yes, sir.
The trunk or treat.
Yes, sir.
You guys are going to use the log for the courthouse, for the courthouse log.
We have not used that in the past. Right now, I will say that we've got right around 30 businesses already registered, and that's about half of the existing businesses around the square, to be honest with you. I mean, there's some that we haven't heard from. We've got one business out of Crothersville, another business out of New Albany that works out of this area that is wanting to set up. But in the past, we've always used the parking lot over in front of the train station as the trunk or treat and kind of overflow for any business that we couldn't squeeze onto the square. Yeah, I'd certainly be happy to look at how we can use the sidewalk areas here at the courthouse, just to figure out if the commissioners would be okay with that.
If you guys are all
But
right.
I haven't really given that any thought because, everything is, well, we've never done it that way before.
Right.
So I just
Right.
kinda go, okay, we'll just keep going this way then.
So if you guys would be all right,
Oh, I'm fine with them using the courtyard, so.
Okay.
And actually, there's some electric out there, so, there's electric around there, so I
We
mean,
just couldn't get.
they can get to a plug,
Yep.
so.
We-
The more memorial area, we would have to stay away from.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're
But on the
talking
east,
mainly
like on
over on the
the south.
backside, so. So, yeah. Just,
I'll give it
Good.
to Tammy and find out what area she would tell me to do.
well, she just said that the war memorial, just over here where the war memorial is, nothing needs to be over there, but out, I mean, the rest of the sides, I think we're fine.
No, I'll be respectful of that.
I know you would, I just kind of thinking about where, when my head was, yeah.
All right. We'll do
Sounds
it.
good,
Thank- well,
appreciate it.
Randy, thanks for
If you
bringing
need anything on that, let us know.
All right, thank you. All right, y'all have a wonderful evening.
Uh-huh. My old friend. Isn't there a song about that, my old friend?
We can write one.
Come up, mister.
They say,
Dale.
buddy of mine, and be careful, yeah.
How are y'all?
Doing good, how are you doing?
Good. I missed you guys. I just thought I'd come in, stop in and see
Where
how
you been on
everybody's doing.
vacation?
Huh? Been on vacation? No, it's been a very, we've been busy. We've been, getting a lot of more programming, bringing in some new employees, trying to expand, to, get all of our services. We ended up closing out because our year went from April to April, from 2020 to 2021. We ended up seeing over 2,500 people.
25, is that people that walk through the door for meetings and stuff, or is that?
No, that's straight up
Actually,
reached out to us or
one-on-one.
came from DLC or a referral source, like CRC, we get a lot from CRC. Just people we've interacted with within the counties that we cover. And that's primarily Scott, Clark, Floyd area right now.
There's a lot of people who see need housing.
A lot,
And
yeah.
somebody asked me about it earlier today, and thought a lot of them might be staying at Campbell's and different places. And I never even thought about it this way. It said, and one, I meant to ask him that too, is the money we bring in for the visitor commission comes off motels. And it's made actually to make money from people from outside of the county. And that we have a lot of people filling these smaller motels up who are having to pay that innkeeper's tax.
Mhm.
And thought that might have been a little bit counterproductive for them to have to pay something when they're homeless,
Right.
that is to go to visiting. And I throw that out there just so, I don't even know if there's a darn thing we can do about it, but that's what we got an attorney for.
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
Maybe it's just too much to.
I'll be honest with you, primarily, the needs we see the biggest in Scott County is transportation and housing,
Yeah,
and then access to care, and treatment.
well, I think we pay 2% on the visitor thing, and that was a question, is should somebody local pay it?
Right.
And they're usually homeless.
But can I just throw your name out there and
You can.
they'll get rid of it for me?
Just
Throw
put it
my
on
name
his
out there,
bill.
yeah.
Put it on his bill? Yeah.
Believe me, I've been out there before to get them rooms.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Anything.
interject from a
Yeah.
state sales tax standpoint, because whenever we file our sales tax exemption, when you go to a hotel with the county and state, it does not exempt us from local taxes at all. So any local imposed taxes, that state sales tax exemption form, no matter what organization, it doesn't exempt you from that local tax, you're only exempted from the state tax amount. So the 7% is the only thing you get exempted from, so any local ordinance taxes, they're enforced.
Well, the other
So
part
then
is,
you gotta pay it.
You gotta pay them.
the other part
Well,
is
that
how
was-
how do you determine if the person lives here or they don't live here? 'Cause
Well, you just have to go by their address if you.
it's all John Doe.
Yeah. Well, it sounded like we can't do anything about it, but it was, I thought it was kind of a little paradox that the people that probably need help the worst are having to pay the same
Right.
tax that somebody who's passing through from Florida.
Right.
has to pay.
I'm still gonna try to use your name though.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
go ahead.
So
Somebody
how-
throw mud at you, but go ahead.
So you still having success in finding treatment centers for people?
Yes, yeah, to be honest with you, we did have, it's kind of picked up a little bit where we getting in the same day now, which about 2-3 months ago, we were 3 to 5 days. I think that's been just due to whatever the treatment centers, their protocol with COVID is and what that looks like for
Kinda
them.
widened up a little bit.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, it's, but just like everything else, they're having a lot of staffing issues, so.
Anything with, how's your, I mean, this isn't controversial to me, but how's your Narcan box doing? I mean, you
Doing
still-
good, it's being used.
Okay.
It is. We're
I mean-
seeing a lot more, in Scottsburg that's being used than the one we have in Austin. We don't know if that's because of, they got the health department as well, and the syringe program that's out there in Austin, giving away, as their Narcan distribution too, so. But yeah, it's still being used.
Are you looking about doing any more Narcan box?
Yes, we're having those conversations. It just really depend, what entities, we wanna make sure that, they do wanna make sure that you don't, put it on the sheriff's department, right? Because they wanna make sure people feel comfortable that, still have that stigma of going to get the Narcan if they need it. But, we're always open, the people that supply those is Overdose Lifeline. And, for us, we can get as many as we ask for if we wanna put more out throughout the county. And it's all,
State
and it's covered.
program?
What's that?
Is that a state program?
Overdose
Isn't that the one
Lifeline?
the governor-
Yeah, so they actually,
Yeah, I thought so.
they have the
Yeah.
contract with the governor's
Yeah, that's
office.
not even, is it a state government program? It's not a local government, I mean.
Oh, it's state.
It's state, yeah.
It's state,
Yeah.
does it?
They have a contract with
I
governor.
thought you had, okay, okay.
That's something the governor's doing.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, Jeff and Kyle may have the numbers better than me, but I do know that the last time we were looking, we were in a meeting and, from what we were seeing, we are down on overdoses, on the ones that we're seeing. But some of the counties around us are pretty high. Clark County right now is over
And
40%.
you're talking about overdoses, people survive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, been on a couple of those.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest with you, one of the things that we talked about, one of the reasons why I'm here,
So you didn't come talk to me.
well, I hope you keep the same energy going you did with the fellow right before me when you're open to giving stuff away. So if y'all remember back in June, we had that conversation during when the syringe program was decided if it was going to be extended or not, and y'all put the date on it for January of 2022. I believe. One thing that I did ask is that can we figure something out to put in place before it goes away? And one of the biggest concerns that we had, and this is opinion versus not, is, we know that it's not gonna be something that can replace it, but just something else to help, right? And one of the biggest barriers that we were having was getting substance use counselors and mental health counselors access. A lot of the treatment centers now for outpatient, they're still about 6 to 8 weeks out. So we did start having conversations and are in the works where we actually have an LCSW who is willing to give us about a part-time hours right now. And they'll come in and help us out with services to get people to access to treatment. However, we need a place to do it. Another,
So you looking at, I know we talked before about a 24-hour place. Are you looking for a 24-hour place? Or you?
I would love to have a 24-hour place if I could have the funds to fund it, staffing and a rec center and stuff like that. That would be amazing. I just don't have, as a nonprofit, we really don't have a lot of fundraisings at the moment, but we don't have a lot of funds to do those sort of things.
Well, I
But-
know we talked before about, and I know
Yeah.
Randy's been pushing it, using the old health department building, because we just spent $25,000 for, bringing it back up to, I guess, occupational standards.
And with that being said, I do now have 4 full-time employees, and I have about 5 part-time employees as well. And we're kind of looking, we're trying to figure out if we can find something out to where we can, especially with bringing in LCSW, I have to make sure they can meet in a place that's HIPAA compliant.
Here's where I'm gonna go with this, because I, on a temporary basis, I wouldn't have a problem with that for you being out in the old health department. On a long-term basis, I would like to see, you in a different position, or a different spot, because I think that one would work better for the VA. because the VA center's out there, the hospital's out there, and it just makes more sense. I think we're talking about ARP money, and because you're talking about mental health,
And substance use, correct?
and our ARP, we can use ARP money for that type of situation, and I know we've kind of discussed it, but we haven't went into depth about refurbishing the Nazarene Church with ARP money to bring it up to a meeting hall type of place, and at that time, maybe we take you from this place to this place and, you know, put you on a kind of a permanent basis there, and that's my thought.
Yes,
I just said-
Could I have you repeat that and say it into the Alice
It's all
voice again? Because that would be amazing. Like, I mean, honestly, that would be such a great place, honestly, you know, obviously we don't have the funds for that, but it's such a great place, you know, where, you know, if they did come from corrections or jail, you know, from, you know, when they leave there, we would have a place for them to come, a safe place. Like, you know, somewhat of a rec center, you know, somewhat where we talk about where meetings can be held and stuff like that. That would be a great.
Well, it kind of gets us into a restoration of that building to where, you know, we can utilize money that we can't spend in a lot of areas, but we can spend it in that area, so. So you got something, you want to say anything?
No, just, how long do you think, I realize it's funding, but, if we're over here in the health department and we start that off, do you think funding would come from somewhere?
Well, it's definitely gonna come in, you know, just to get in, because, you know, bringing in an LCSW, we're also gonna be billing services under their MPI, right? And so there'll be a percentage of that comes back into Thrive to put back into it, you know, to keep going. So sustainability, right? Which is exactly what we're working on. We actually have, and we're working on a contract right now with Columbus Regional Hospital, where they are going to pay for a full-time peer recovery coach in their hospital that's going to be an actual employee of Thrive, and will oversee their supervision, credentials, but then they'll report to the hospital for a 2-year grant. So we are working on sustainability, because, you know, and getting that funding to come through, but, you know, just that initial.
Like the 24 hours. What's it gonna take to have somebody there 24 hours? So when people are really needing help, they're there.
Well, and right now, I'll be honest with you, I've got, with our ORT program, we have people available 24 hours. So, you know, if somebody does want somebody, I've got coaches that live in Scott County that can be there within 20 minutes, and they'll meet them wherever they're at. You know, to be honest, there's not a huge desire in Kelly. So, by the way, Kelly Hans is my new program director. She came over full-time with us back in August.
She hurt her away from us.
I did.
Now I just thought.
But, I mean,
Well, I'll take that back.
yeah, so, but, I mean, wouldn't you say that? I mean, we don't have a huge, especially because, you know, our jail don't let out at 12 midnight like most county jails when they push them out the door. But we don't have a huge desire in Scott County for 24-hour access at the moment.
We still have a hard time, we used to have like we called it a sober social night on Friday nights, like Friday evenings from like 6 to 9. And we used to have a good crowd, so like somewhere safe for people to come, you play cards, board games, whatever. And then COVID happened, and even coming back out of COVID, like we just can't get people to come. Even when we offer to cook, we'll grill, like we'll do stuff outside, so.
I guess and you would know, I mean, how many people, and I know Randy's thinking it's, you know, midnight
Right.
till 6 or whatever in the morning, you're looking, but how many people on the average would ever call you on a hotline after midnight?
Probably in a couple of years that we have been doing Thrive, I've maybe only gotten 3 calls in this last 3
So
years.
it's not-
And I've probably gotten 2.
So it's not everybody's trying to get a hold of somebody and there's nobody there.
Right, you know, correct. And then that's one thing that, you know, we started with, you know, we started out with Sheriff Goodman and everything, was our ORT program, where if they do have those runs, or they're going and doing these things, or the first responders are going out, we'll pick up, if they got somebody that's asking for help, we'll meet them out there within 20 minutes, and we'll get right out there, you know.
But it's not something that, there's people out there, hundreds of people over, you know, over
Right.
years trying to
If
get
we were a
help.
little bit farther
Nobody
south,
on
absolutely,
station, but it's nice to have a place to go when you're calling.
correct.
But there would be like a number posted, so like mine and Lindsay's number, so if somebody was to show up there in the middle of the night and in a crisis and need help, like they would be able to call us and we could go to them, so we wouldn't necessarily be at the building. So we won't have to pay somebody to sit at that building for 8 hours, but then we could bill for, if somebody calls during a crisis and we need to be there at 1 o'clock in the morning, we sit with them until 3, we
It's an
can bill
at-need.
between 1 and 3.
Gotcha, okay.
Well, that's good to know that that need's not there at that particular time on, so.
Well, I think, you know, it's much,
Question,
I wanted to, also I want to say, these folks have been phenomenal. I've called, my go-to person is Lindsay,
yeah.
and, we wore her out. And, we appreciate her, they've been above and beyond to do what they needed to do, get people located, get people, you know, in places. So, I want to thank you for that, because it's been a big, big relief for us, because we get folks, there's nothing we can do with them. And every time I've called Lindsay, they've come through. It's been numerous times. I mean, it's been numerous times.
And I want to point this out too, is, because we get to ask this question a lot, because, you know, we're in a program where we cover 92 counties, the entire program, right? But we oversee 21. And so, you know, we do a lot of social media posts, and we'll do pictures with sheriff out in front of Deputy Donut, who I think still is number 1 employee. And that was a joke, Mike. Yeah. And we get asked, you know, how's the stigma with the recovery community being so buddy with the sheriff? But you would be surprised, and I'm not even joking, the amount of people that actually go to the sheriff to ask for help.
Well, that's good.
They actually go, and he'll call me and say, I got somebody in my office, you know what I mean? And they'll actually go to law enforcement here and ask how to get into treatment.
Good.
So I think really the way that Scott County has really molded this is amazing.
But your need for a building,
Yes,
back to that, it's not a 24-hour cycle that you're looking for.
no, I can't
So
find that.
so it's more like what your hours are at the church.
Yes, it would be like kind of an 8 to 5, 9 to 5, you know, and if there was a spot where we needed to get somebody, while we were waiting for something else or treatment, then we could.
So if we would, because like I said, that building's just sitting there, I mean, if we would go with allowing you to use that building, so when we came back, when we get the other building remodeled or whatever, and told you to move, you're not gonna be upset.
I'm gonna throw 3 or 4 things out here, if it's okay. Ever since this has all happened, I keep hearing the word recreation center.
Yes.
And that doesn't set off the connotation that I'm too thrilled about. Explain to me what that means. I would think of this more as a business center. And the recreation center, I'm trying to also think, how's the hospital gonna feel about that?
So, well, we're talking
So
about,
it's Recovery Engagement Center.
that's, for us, a rec center,
So
yes.
it's not a recreation.
Right,
center.
we call it a rec, is a recovery
You're
engagement
not
center.
paying,
And so for us, exactly what you're saying is true. At the old health department, if we were ever so blessed and lucky to get in there, that's an office type setting. That's not where we would go and have meetings and have, those type of things. That would be the business, where our LCSW, where a recovery coach meets for their sessions, stuff like that, maybe groups. If you redo this Nazarene church, that's one of those places where a recovery engagement center, where you could have 12-step fellowship meetings, where you can have a little kitchenette where people can come in and we can get somebody some food that can't afford to get some food, or you know, where we can have maybe a pool table where people can kind of hang out just as a safe environment. So we call it a recovery engagement center. That's what we call it, rec.
The other thing I wanted to bring about, well, first of all, when it comes out there, I have committed myself to the veterans out there, I'll tell you that.
Absolutely.
But the question I come up with is, if we do this and set you guys up and everything, I'm assuming there'll be no monthly rent pay or anything to the county, right? That's what you hope anyway.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna say to the next recovery group that comes in and says, I want an office for free. And I'm not so much asking you the questions, I'm asking myself, how do I answer to those people? I don't know, because there's a lot of nonprofits out there. And if we open this door up, do we open it up for everybody, or we specifically because you guys, because you do such good, and we close the SSP down, so this is what we're gonna do, but somebody else comes in and has a great program, we're gonna say no to them. So I'm asking us, maybe the board, how do we answer that? I don't know. Maybe we just do it and forget about it.
Well, I'm gonna kinda answer that a little bit, is that I haven't had anybody knocking on the door trying to find another place.
Well,
So-
this is the first one.
I get that, but these guys have been here for a long time, and
Mike, I can tell you this too, they provide services with the jail, so we are intertwined, because we're getting this grace program, we're getting ready to start, and they are an integral part of that. So that helps.
I just think
Well, I'd rather
that
answer the questions now than run into them later.
I think it's-
I can say that again, what we wanna say to somebody who comes into another good
I
program.
think it's at
I'm
need.
gonna go with, I mean, the way I guess I would answer that is, like, you know, how long have you been here in Scott County?
How long have we been in Scott County? We started
Not you
our,
personally.
well, yeah, not personally. We started our conversation on starting the RCO 2016, 2017. We actually started the meetings in 2017, of getting everything together. We officially became the board in 2018.
So see, I mean, to me, it's time.
I know, but if we pay for this out of ARP, there's going to be monthly bills. Are we gonna pay all the bills? Do you
No,
guys
hang
have
on.
arrangements to pay for them?
Hang on a
I'm
minute.
asking questions, it's not a condemnation of what you're doing.
On
I wanna know for what happens later.
the money that we're gonna pay out of the ARP is for construction of the building.
Yes.
Which is our building. You
Yeah.
know, if we weren't had the opportunity with the ARP money, we'd be trying to find money somewhere else, to put a roof on that building and make sure it doesn't fall apart.
Yeah.
So with the ARP money, with the ARP money, we're able to remodel that building over there with their money, or with the grant, or the money that we're receiving through the federal government. And they're just gonna be the one that's gonna occupy it when it's done, so
Right.
we're technically not giving them ARP money. We're supplying ARP money to a building that they're gonna occupy.
Once
Which,
that building-
if you didn't give it mental health and substance use,
Hang on.
We wouldn't
Once
be-
that
treatment.
building is built, it's gonna be monthly fees.
Mhm.
Are we
There's
gonna
monthly,
be
there's
paying
monthly
all that?
fees right now.
Yeah, but we're not giving it away to people. There is something different here
Well, we're
about
not-
this.
Well,
And
technically,
I'm
to
just saying, do
me,
you have any method to pay monthly bills, water, utility, electric, anything?
well, to me, I
No,
mean,
I'm assuming you don't.
Well, yes, we have the, we are a very small nonprofit. We're, to be honest with you, when we brought in our first full-time people, and with the money we got from the state, as a learning curve for me, and now that I know better, I didn't even take anything off the top when I paid the coaches. I paid them exactly what the state gave me to pay them.
Well, this
We were doing it all
isn't-
voluntary
This isn't an
purpose.
issue to me whether you're doing a good job. I know you are.
Well, what I'm getting
I've
at
had too
is,
many people tell me that.
we are actually making sustainability conversations with, you bringing in the LCSW, getting these contracts, to where we would be able to pay, depending on the amounts of where we can set ourselves up to make our own. Our goal isn't to be honest with you, Thrive's goal is not to come in here and just say, hey, can we have this building? We don't need it from it. We want to be able to pay our part and have sustainability, no matter where we go. So our goal is, after these contracts and what we get going, is to be able to pay rent and to pay water and to pay electric, because, I know those are things that we need to get taken care of, and the sustainability of our own.
Well, I just, I'm a guy who likes, I think these guys do too, small government and low taxes. And I want to be careful here that we're just not
to me,
spending
we have,
more money.
if we fix up the building, if we just let it sit empty.
I didn't say we
No,
should
I know-
fix up
I
the
know.
building.
I'm
I
just-
said, I want to know if we're
I
gonna
understand.
have
I'm
one
just walking down a
nonprofit,
path here
or
for
we're
a
gonna
minute.
say no to somebody else.
I'm just walking down a path here for a minute. If we turned around and fixed this building up and we just let it sit, we would have to leave, heat and everything on it, or the building would just deteriorate really fast. Anything has to have something in it. So, the building is the county's. This program is for citizens of this county. So I guess that's what I would say when somebody says, why are you giving it, to Thrive? Well, we're not giving it to Thrive, we're providing a service for the citizens of Scott County with a building that the citizens of Scott County owns. I mean, that's, to me,
Well, I'm gonna piggyback off that a second, because there's another organization that a lot of people may not know about, but it's Work One. I'm on that board. Work One has, a office space in the Mass Park right now. And because we've switched mayors, I mean,
It's okay.
there's conversations about finding space built or office space for those people. And they're a nonprofit. They supply our local manufacturers with, training for employees. And their mainstay is that they don't pay rent. We have,
Scottsburg gets them out there for free.
we get them, they're part of us too. The city is,
I mean, Mass Park belongs to the city.
I get that. Scott County and the city of Scottsburg and the city of Austin all have contracts with Work One. Work One, Mayor Graham gave them an office space within the Mass Park. That's kinda up in the air right now, cause, there's talk that there might be a fee for them, being in that Mass Park now, which I've been trying to, work with the mayor about not doing that, because they are a nonprofit. If we're gonna charge them office space, they're going to leave Scott County. So that's gonna affect every manufacturer in Scott County, because of that. So what my point here is that they're a nonprofit. They, if we give them a building for no utilities, no rent, whatever, it's no different than what we're doing for Work One and have for years. So the question you're asking is, how do we do it for the next one? Well, we're already doing it. So, that's my answer to your, hypothetical, I guess, is that we're already doing it for other people. May not be this type of work or business or whatever, but we're already giving office space to people for services rendered, I guess. And, what you do is a service to the community, so that's where I'd be.
Phil, can't you probably apply for some grants too that would assist with office space and utilities? Because I know some of our grants we could.
Yes, and those kind of things we are I'll be honest with you. We've had an amazing person that's always helped us out with our grants, seeing how we're a subsidiary under the partnership. Jeannie Bridgewater's been amazing. She did announce that she's leaving in April. So me and Kelly are actually going up to Boone County at the end of, I haven't told her yet. In November, we're going, it was either Lake County or Boone County. And we're gonna start doing, because this is about sustainability, and we're gonna start taking some grant writing classes. And HRSA does have some grants that you can apply for, and that's one of the parts of us growing as we are. We're trying to get into that space and get involved. And one of the pieces about getting those HRSA grants too is you have to be established for a few years before you can even get them. And so now, luckily we've been under the partnership, which they've been established for over 25 years. But in the past 3 years, people, the state level has really heard of Thrive, and they're actually encouraging us to apply for grants to help with those sort of things.
And if you guys become your own nonprofit where you're not under the partnership's umbrella, that 10% admin fee that the partnership gets from you right now, because I'm on the partnership board, so
Yeah.
it's been beneficial for our board because we get that 10% admin for hosting your money and your grants.
Right.
That would just stay in Thrive's pocket, and that's when you could pay.
That's when
for, like,
sustainability, right? And we can start paying for, lights and water and stuff.
Okay, well, it sounds like there's a plan.
There is.
Yeah, I just want some answers. That's what I'm here for.
I agree. So you're wanting to know what our plan is for the future of Thrive and county government. And again, like I said, I know you talked to Randy more than you talked to me, and
You don't return my phone calls?
that's not true. I changed my number.
Well,
No, I did change my number though, so.
is it because I got it?
No, it's
Okay.
because I retired. They took my company phone back.
No, I did, and I think, the part of where, me and Randy had those conversations, especially, was during the conversations we were having back in June, and.
Like I said, I don't have a problem, of putting in the old health department right now, because I know with the building just sitting there, empty, should be cleaned, so,
Yeah, I don't think there's any food in the fridge.
It's just if we're voting on this tonight, it's just before I vote on it, I would like to have some of the veterans come in first, discuss with them, because I know they're wanting it, they're contacting me wanting it too. And it, maybe we should let you guys have it for a year or whatever until they get doing something, but, I'm not ready to vote until I hear some more from them.
well, I don't have a problem, again, I think the veterans are number one,
Absolutely.
and should be.
Yep.
And I'm not talking about a year from now, starting to work on this building over here, I'm talking about, voting pretty quickly about, and I was actually in it the other day, walked through it, and, it has a, new plywood on the roof, the shingles are leaking, so we need to get, and I said at last meeting, and I'll push to do this, and if somebody else wants to help, as far as going, I need a contractor that's gonna put a roof on it, make sure the windows aren't leaking, make sure there's an HVAC system in it, make sure the floor's back to level again, instead of being the other, I'm for, doing that pretty quickly. We got $2.3 million sitting in the bank right now that we can surely find the money to do that.
And I talked to Ms. Vaughn. I went to her office, I talked to her, and I asked her, and I explained to her, and she said that she totally thinks everybody is on board with it and understands,
Well, I'm sure they will, but I wanna.
They have an office.
Yeah.
It's not big enough, but it's an office that's actually working at the moment. And
Well, grant you, I will say this, because after the first of the year, she's gonna be full-time, which is gonna change that status somewhat of people being in the office all the time, and then sometimes there's two of them in the office. So I understand that, after the first year, she's gonna need more space, so hopefully we can move this process along where we can
Yeah.
get that building over there remodeled in a, 60 or 90 days.
How long
or-
are we talking? I'm just curious now, I'm asking questions again, how long are we talking you're gonna be out there if we do this?
I think it's probably up to us, right? I mean,
It is, but I mean,
How
how
fast
long,
we wanna
how
push
long is it taking till we get this building over here set up, I suppose should be a better question.
Well, Tammy, if we ask for bids for something, we gotta do that in 2 weeks.
I have to advertise, it has to be advertised twice, and you can't make a decision or open bids, in a window less than 7 days from the last advertisement date. So it's roughly 2 weeks, you kind of look at it, so a lot of times if it works out time-wise on the calendar, after you make a decision in a meeting, I can usually that next Friday or a week from that, get it, and within the next 2 meetings, you'll be able to open bids, I'll put it that way. So if we did something now, you could probably open bids the first meeting in November.
and I think if we're trying to do things quickly. If we tried to do things quickly, we break it down into 3 or 4 different contractors, and they could all be working on a different phase at the same time. To
Be
reach
careful with that, because if it's a project and it's all one project, in order to avoid the purchasing statutes that we have, you
Yeah,
can't do 25,
Different thresholds, I think it's
it's 150,000, and if you would get
close to
past
50, 100.
that,
There's different ones, there's different requirements for even going above like 50,000.
if the total project is 150,000, you can't break it in parts to avoid the public
Correct.
procurement part.
Question.
I'm lost, but, go ahead.
You have to do sealed bids for certain types of work performed.
Right.
Yes.
Well, I mean, we can still get it done, we just have to,
So what you're saying, what I think she's saying is we'd have to hire a general contractor, and that general contractor would hire an electrician, a plumber, a HVAC person, it could be somebody, you know, I guess we could say you have to hire people within Scott County if that's what you're,
Yeah.
there's plenty of HVAC people here, there's plenty.
Yeah, and time frame is kind of your key to this, so your time frame is fast on this one. If it was something that you were drawing out over 4 or 5 years, and you wanted to do the roof just to save the building, and then you didn't know what you were gonna really do with it, and you could
Right.
prove to the state you really weren't decided at that point, and then 2 years later, you fixed the floor, and then another year later, you did something else, they're not gonna pick at you for that. But if you wanna get something done in 90 days, you can't act as your own general contractor and sub everything out. You have to, like Mike said, you have to go through an entity and bid the whole project cost and let that entity that you hire subcontractor do the work however they do. You can't be your own general on a project that gets done in 90 days.
Right, okay.
Does that make sense? Is that right, Zach?
So anyway, I mean, we're probably still, though, we're looking at real close to the beginning of the first year, having that building done, if we got all.
We could have that building done by the first year.
Close to around the first year, yeah.
Dang.
Maybe a couple of
Wow.
weeks.
I think that's pushing it, because I think that if we open the bids up 1st of November, the meeting in November, I guess we could say, hey, you need to, this needs to be fast tracked, and I'm saying that,
Our health
I'm
department
gonna
took
say
6
four,
months
I'm gonna
and
say
it
4 to
wasn't
6
COVID,
months, I mean,
And
But
Lincoln
you're-
got it
you're-
done 2 months early.
Miss Vaughn won't be full-time until after the first.
January.
I didn't know we voted to make her full-time yet. She come in and asked for it, we hadn't voted on
I thought we did.
I'd honestly have to look at the minutes.
it, yeah.
Well,
I'm pretty sure. we
I
did.
thought she came
And
in- I
maybe
don't
we
know.
could, but I don't think we have.
I thought
I'll go
we
off
did.
what he said, I don't know, but I mean, anyway, I think that most of the veterans would understand, the people needs help, and I mean, that's mostly why they joined the service, so.
Well, I'm okay with helping out over here. I have some concerns about the thing out at
I'm just
the
gonna
health
briefly
department.
say, I know,
But if we can help over here, I'll do that. But I don't know why we couldn't wait a few more months. They're already operating where they are, and we could, as far as I'm concerned, here's my
talking
thoughts.
about-
I'm ready to move the veterans out there now. I wanna get them moved upstairs and get them moved out there, out the health department. And and if we can wait a little bit and get you guys there, I don't have a problem with that. I'm good for that. I think you guys do tremendous amount of good. I've known you all. My concern is wanna make sure we get the veterans out there as quick as possible.
You,
The veterans.
your timeline with this, mental health counselor, is there a timeline for him?
Need
For her
space,
or them?
just in space. They have their Indiana, they already have their LCC, their insurance set up, they have their, Medicaid number turned back on. We just need a space to do it in because we can't do it in the church.
So the longer we push this off, the longer, or the
It's just gonna,
more postponement we have having that service.
correct. That's why we came to ask.
Question, answer? Comment?
I think if this is going to be, once again, a public building,
Oh, here we go.
yeah,
I know where this is going.
yeah, you're going to the Department of Homeland Security with engineered plans. You have to.
Yeah, no, I just, when you opened that, I said,
You can fast track that first. You can fast track that for us.
I'm trying to
No,
fast track
no,
that
I
right
can't.
now.
You know how to do that stuff.
No, I don't.
So,
the other thing is that as it is a county building, I believe that State Board of Accounts requires us to have some type of like lessor lessee agreement with whoever. I'm not saying who, but with whoever this is. I think there's also some insurance requirements. And the county would need to be added on to any insurance policies as additional parties. And those would all need to be, so I would need information. I'm not saying you can't notice in it or make a motion of intent or something today, but I don't know anything about, some factual things that I would need to know about Thrive at this point. I have a copy of an agreement that maybe you guys guys could take a look at, or any other groups could take a look at, if you guys wanted to consider them. But there's some other requirements here that are more than just you can use the building. So-
Right, and we do have our insurance, we're actually under the
Okay.
partnership.
Great.
I did put the info
Perfect.
on that information I sent you.
Yeah.
The policy number and stuff like that, but, you know, I completely understand.
I don't have a policy number.
You don't have a policy
I
number?
don't think I ever got an email from, did I get?
I sent it,
Okay, let me look for it. I apologize.
no, you're fine, and if you need me to, I can get you that, whatever.
And I hate to add one more layer to this, but in some of the ARPA readings, the light readings that we have on that, whenever you're talking about using federal funds, they're gonna, as Jason alluded to, Jason Simler from Baker Tilly, you have to look at the federal procurement process as well, not just the state and the state statutes that we have. So there's also whoever contracts to do that job may be held to federal wage standards as far as like common wages and that type of thing too. Because there's a lot of things that layer onto that because it's federal funds. And there's really gonna need to be a laid out plan with a budget and things like that. And I think our financial advisor that they hired will be able to help us fast track that part of it. But we will also need to let the contractor know if there's any stipulations for the wages they pay or whatever for that remodel job. So it's yet another layer.
So, back to you.
Hey,
I'm sure it does.
You're saying that the mental health counselor cannot do his job within the church?
we don't have space.
Okay, all right, that's what I'm getting at. I guess where I'm trying to do here to satisfy, trying to satisfy one party, trying to figure out, cause it sounds like, cause the area plan, that this is going to be a big to-do with getting the permits for that, and I can attest to that. I'm dealing with the state right now on another project. What kind of space do you need right now for a mental health counselor?
Office space.
Is that office space 5 days a week? Is that office space on certain days?
We
certain
don't have the
hours?
days put out yet, but, you know, I would imagine if I had a space and then told him, you know, you tell me the days and to the time, we'll make it work, ability to be open for you.
What I'm looking at is, can we find a space someplace that someone can utilize on a short-term basis till we get a building built? Or till we get a building remodeled or whatever? Now I'm talking,
I don't, and I would have to go back and ask them. I don't know if they would feel comfortable with that or not, depending on them. And because they're also bringing their credentials with them.
that.
So,
Alright. Let me,
I mean, I'll be honest with you. You know, one of the reasons that I came here and asked you all, one, was because, you know, it was, not to take the place of the syringe program, but to give the people of this county, an access that we are taking away when we are taking away the syringe program. And so that's why, you know, you all said you were willing, you know, to work with us on this. That's why it's October. We're 2 months away from the syringe program being shut down, and I'm trying to put something in place before.
let me, what's your pleasure, John?
I'm not ready to vote on tonight. I mean, if we wanna, take a look, a couple weeks, come up with some answers, a couple weeks, we might consider it then, but I'm not ready to vote tonight. I'm just not. I don't think we're ready for it. I'm not even sure we know we can do all this stuff yet. I mean, we don't have the money from ARP. We got the money, but we have to get that approved. We would probably just vote on that
Well,
in the council.
I think
Council,
getting with
just
Baker Tilly
appropriate some
to help us outline the goals
Mhm.
for your plan would be one of the next steps that we need to do for the Nazarene Church to help them give us some check boxes that we need to start working on, for the financial advisory side. Did you get a chance to talk to Jason Simler about anything, Randy?
Just that, you know, the ARP money.
And it's a valid
is
program.
available to do
Oh,
something.
yeah.
That's a valid expense for the ARP money.
Yeah.
It's just that we, in order to be able to submit and prove the usage of the monies for the purpose, then we have to have that, all those little boxes checked that the IRS wants us to have checked, or Treasury Department wants us to have checked.
So when she was talking about having to, you know, the stage and all that, it's bringing back memories to me of trying to fill something back in the health department. I mean, that was extremely difficult. I don't wanna set up a plan here before we know where we're going.
Yeah.
That's just me.
I would also want to say that, you know,
All for.
the individuals that we're going to be serving need to feel comfortable. And so if we have like in a spot here this week or whatever, or even if we just kind of like, hey, go to this building, it's in there.
So would that, I guess,
Anonymity is very high.
It
Would they-
should
would
be
they walk out of that
within
courthouse?
Scottsburg's
Huh?
so they
historic
walk into here?
district.
I would, they would not feel
I'm just
comfortable.
saying, we seem to be
However,
talking about different.
Because we got people at so many different stages.
therefore, you have to
Well,
consult
and I think that
utility
it does help being a
changes
hospital,
outside.
especially with those people.
Yeah.
Um,
But as far as.
But it's, it also gives them some anonymity there.
As an as-is
Where-
building.
Let me,
that's different.
It's,
So
it's
I'm
not
just-
I'm not
fair.
saying what.
I'm trying to figure,
No.
like, we're really trying to
give
get
me,
something.
It doesn't have any
Well,
historical value, in other words.
I think we can get something done. I just don't
We
wanna
seem to be
jump
talking about two
head first into
different
the water and
kind
find
of
out
things
that
here.
it's
So
a
one
concrete
is
box.
dedication of
And
as
then
is
head on
building.
and we obligated ourselves to a bunch of bills.
Basically a grant of a license for a specific use.
And my
I don't know
preference is
exactly
for
what the use would
It's
be.
not too
So
difficult.
that's something I would need to put in there. I don't know about the rent. I know that there's been some discussion of rent, no rent, those types of things. And what I would need, I do see this liability policy numbers.
Yes.
I don't need to see the whole policy. I just need to see the deck sheet on the policy.
Okay.
And who are the covered parties.
Yeah.
And now that I'm looking at it, I think Scott County would be one already, so that
Right.
gets you through that. So at that point, it's just the issue of a formal, agreement that acknowledges a lessor-lessee
All right,
relationship, whether there's rent paid or not.
let's table this till our next meeting, and we'll have I'm gonna go find you suitable office space, because this over here is gonna take more time than I thought, and she's right, I mean, when you talk about a government building, I hate to say that, but she's right.
It's on camera.
Because,
Yeah, what time?
6:20.
because the exact same thing happened to the health department. They went in thinking, hey, it's gonna be a breeze, and it got stopped. And, and I'm still dealing, or we're still dealing with the coroner's office, which is to that almost done, but, somebody seems to stop it someplace. Anyway, give us to our next meeting, I'm gonna have an answer for you, and I will, I mean, these guys will have answers as well, but, you tell me what you're looking for, and the long-term goal is, I want you over there. I think it's a position or place that we're gonna, for the old saying, kill two birds with one stone. We're gonna fix a building that needs to be fixed, and we're gonna give an opportunity to an organization to utilize the building. In the meantime, I need to find you a space. So, let me see what is available, and then, but you're saying it cannot be in an organized building.
So, I just
And
want
I
to,
understand.
well, I don't know if they
the
heard
reasoning.
that conversation,
People
but
aren't gonna be comfortable walking in.
anonymity of the population that we serve is very high, and we need to respect that as our organization. And so we need to make sure that they're comfortable, because they have to be comfortable with coming in wherever they're at for services. And so that's one of the highest
Well,
priorities.
that's always made me question over there, because you're sitting right next to the jail. I mean, are they going to come over there?
All right, the rec center, totally.
Don't call it a rec center.
Don't call it that.
You keep saying
I've
that.
heard more people say a wreck.
So,
We gotta explain that.
Engage.
all right, well, you tell them to come to me and I can break out the acronym for them.
No, you got it.
Recovery
We
center.
get a different.
Recovery Engagement Center,
Thank you.
is a different conversation than we're talking about office space to do mental health and substance use disorder services, right? You know, could we do that there as well? Absolutely. But you also have a place where people can come for a safe place, you know? And so I think that's a lot different than what we're talking about at the old health department. You know what I mean? Totally two different like environments.
Well, give us till our next meeting
I think that's a good idea.
and, we'll do some looking. Cause I'm thinking of a couple of places right now, but I want to clarify those places. So, and I'm not saying I still wouldn't put you in the old health department, until that's done, but that's a conversation we need to have with the veterans too, so,
I can respect that 100.
I get it.
So I appreciate it. Like I said,
But I don't think that we're putting you on the back burner, cause I'm not gonna do that to you. I mean, Randy and John both all said that we were gonna do something and we're going to, so it's just now, as a lay person thinking about a construction job, I think, yep, we can do this, this, and this, and then you get state involved and then you're going this, and this the wrong way, so. But, come back next meeting.
so I'll come back next meeting. I'm gonna need somebody to supply me with some kind of supper because like being here this long is a very long time. Some snacks. Zach,
Well,
can
I
we get
thought
some
you were bringing,
snacks?
I thought you were bringing
I
pizza.
don't have any control.
All right.
Well, that doesn't look like you're starving, so.
I wouldn't
Wow.
say it.
Wow.
Well, there's 20
Did
pounds
something
of
happen
beer
to
there.
you, did something happen to you personally while from the last time I saw you?
I got engaged.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate that. So, all right. Well, thank you guys for your time. I will see you all. I will. It ain't been that bad,
Rightly so.
right?
Thank
Rightly
you for
so.
listening to the sometimes difficult questions.
Yes, not a problem, and I completely understand, and I hope you all understand, you know, this is not something that we're trying to compete at all.
Well, my
I'm just trying to figure
experience-
something out to help our population that is gonna be losing something
My
that they use.
experience, if we jump in too easy on any project, we usually find out later going, oh, why didn't we think of this or think of that?
Yeah.
And sometimes it gets expensive if you don't get things planned ahead of time, so.
Well, I was gonna give you a shirt and everything, John, but I think I'm gonna keep it now.
And I told you
know?
that's 3X, didn't I?
I got one for you, Mike, don't worry, buddy. It says BFF on the back.
Yeah, that could be something else.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, so kind of to piggyback off of Phil, as he said, he kind of stole Kelly from us, so,
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I'm
Actually,
ju-
I should have. I kept seeing you on a lot of Thrive stuff and I'm thinking, what's she doing over there?
yes. So I'm down 2 positions right now, so,
2.
yes.
So she took the part of 2
So
people?
she left and then, I had an internal hire, my HIV tester wanted to move to the care coordination position, so. So to kind of fill that gap, I got with Phil and some other SSPs currently do this with some other recovery groups, or organizations. They contract their services out. So basically Kelly would still, she's volunteering her time now, to still come.
With you.
Yes, she volunteers to come to the SSP, to work it 3 days a week, 6 hours a week, to help us out. But to help me out to spend down $105 grant, $1,000 grant, and obviously to pay them for their time, I would like to do just a simple service agreement, that would total $3,564, for her to work through. Yes, to work there through the rest of the year. So actually pay them for her time, where Thrive gets, the benefit and a little bit of money. I get the benefit of having someone who's experienced, knows the state database, and is a huge help. and already, knows what to do with the SSP and help us out until we hire those positions back.
So you are hiring for those positions?
So right now I have posted for the HIV tester position. I don't have posted Kelly's position because, like our conversation in September 1st, I'm worried I'm not gonna get that funding come January 1st.
For which position?
The HIV prevention
So
coordinator.
you got the grant for the two positions.
Right now I have the grant for the HIV care coordinators that started, September 30th, so I have that grant. I just applied for the renewal of our grant right now that would supply the other two positions, so the tester and the coordinator. I think I at least will get the
I thought the
tester.
other grant was for two people.
It is, the care
No, the one
coordinators.
you already got,
Yes, it's for
So-
the two care
and the other one's
coordinators.
for one.
The other one's for two as well, so
Oh,
4
okay.
positions. There's 4 positions up there at Austin, usually, when we're completely full.
Okay.
I'm hoping that the state will at least grant us the money, next year for an HIV tester, just because, even if we don't have an SSP, I think that's still needed. And I tried to explain that the best I could. But I'm just nervous to hire for a coordinator if I don't get that money and then they're only here 2 months and then, so unless
Okay.
you just are adamant that I post for that position, I'd kind of just like to wait a little bit.
That's fine.
And again, this kind of helps me spend down the rest of the money, because if you don't use the 105,000, you give it back at the end of the year. So, and it's not a lot of money, but like as you see, that 10% admin fee that we were talking about, like that's the little things that kind of help them out, and definitely helps me out having Kelly up there. And it just keeps that relationship with Thrive, like as when we talked back in June with the SSP, like they get a lot of referrals from the SSP. So keeping that relationship and connection for our clients, I think, is really important too.
So you just need approval for to have a
Contract.
professional contract with Thrive for a part-time?
Yeah, part-time. 6 hours a week for 18 weeks, because it would be retroactive to September 1st through the end of the year. $30 per hour for their time that the peer coach is up there. So for a total of $3,564.
What's your pleasure?
I think we need to vote on it and pass it tonight.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to pass the, 3,564, is that what it is?
Yes.
For professional services agreement we have here for the work.
Got a motion on the table to approve to the health department a professional service contract with Thrive for a employee for 6 hours a week. And John made a motion.
I'll second that.
Randy seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous, so.
Great, thank you.
So you
If
have
you
to-
wanna turn it over, you can sign, and I'll have Phil sign it,
Wow.
and then I'll just make Tammy a copy, and I'll keep a copy and give Phil a copy tonight. And then I hope we have some bids. We don't have any bids?
We advertised for quotes on the structure and debris removal
Mhm.
at the deemed unsafe building locations at New Frankfurt Road and Lovers Lane, and we did not receive one quote from anybody regarding those services, and according to what Zach told me, when I told him we didn't get any,
Okay.
you guys are at liberty to hire whomever
Okay.
you choose at this point,
Okay,
because we ask and nobody
So did
responded.
we get something on the other one?
haven't got any of them.
We did get
Oh, we
some
did?
on the roof,
On the what?
on the courthouse roof
No,
replacement.
I'm talking about.
We did
on
not
the
get a
other-
bid on either dwelling,
No,
or either property.
nobody turned in anything to us regarding those.
Okay, let me, so we can just get anybody we want within
So
reason.
you guys can come up with whomever, get a price and
I'll reach
decide
out.
that's what you wanna do.
So,
Because it's gonna get I'm sorry.
talk about that at the next meeting then?
Yes, I'll get hold of a couple of people and see what they charge.
Okay.
You're talking about Terry Road or New Frankfurt? New
Lovers
Frankfurt
Lane and New
Lovers
Frankfurt,
Lane.
yeah.
Yeah, the thing is, you guys can pick.
See, that's,
whatever
I'm
you
gonna
want to,
ask,
And the amount's gonna go right on their taxes, dollar for dollar.
Right.
We don't collect anything extra.
I'm gonna ask a question here, and I've been told that we can do this, but I don't know if it's gonna be any better than what we're doing now, is, and I'm gonna be honest, I picked the Presville Times up maybe 3 times this year, if I even picked it up once. how often is somebody even looking in the Crowsville Times to see if there's a job or something going on with that?
You'd be surprised, actually.
Well, and
I
Lisa
know
puts it
that.
on the website.
Yes,
or
we
at least-
post it on the county website, and then another thing too, a lot of the companies that do this, I had an email today because they were interested in the roof. And people look for these things in these newspapers, so
Yeah.
it is perused.
I get
by a
that,
lot
but
more
I will
people.
say, I
I'm
didn't
talking
post it
about-
on our social media,
But we
I
do
definitely
post
think that's.
I know
in the new
two or
era
three
thing,
contractors
so-
that tear things down, and I'm sure they're not looking in the Crowsville Times for a job, so.
But that is our
I get
official.
that, I know that, but where I guess I was getting at, and you might be able to, our attorney assist over there. Is there a internet service that you can put something out on besides our website or anything else that has a service that is a legal service?
The state wouldn't call it a legal
Advertisement.
advertisement.
Well, where I'm going with that is that I have had other commissioners tell me that the state does recognize some of the internet stuff now and that's where I'm getting at is that we're getting away from newspaper print is going away. I mean, we're not gonna be able to pick a newspaper up one of these days.
It has to do with certain, like taxation processes, that they're starting recognizing on the internet, that it's okay to post it on the internet. Because like if you put an internet notice that says, if you go to Gateway, the such and such for taxation, the proposed tax rates for 22 are present now on Gateway. Sometimes you just even have to still put that in the paper, even though you don't put the whole thing, it's on Gateway. So
But
you're
you
telling
guys-
people to go to look at Gateway.
The Scott County Commissioner or Scott County government, you guys don't have your own Facebook or social media accounts, right? You don't.
Because our website, yeah, it's kind of
It's just the
supposed to be the
website,
portal per se, that to look at the county things, because they don't really, yes, you're right, you're right. So,
Okay.
again.
Well, I'll get with a couple contractors.
I mean, if you think it'd be better if we rebid it and,
Nope, not at this time.
okay, yeah. I mean, I'm
I'll,
sure you guys all probably have at least one person in mind that could give a bid.
I've got 3 right now, so I'll reach out to them tomorrow, see if they're interested. So if you got somebody,
Yeah,
Just, if
Call
you've
this
got
up.
personal contacts, make them and just have them turn in a price to us.
Okay,
yeah,
Yeah,
and then
that
we'll,
works.
and we can put this on the agenda for next time then.
Yes.
what else?
and then- What?
What else?
So talking about bids, if you remember back in April, we talked about putting heat out in our bays and doing some HVAC work out there. So I kind of thought, I was hoping that we wouldn't be back there as often as we are now, but we're still gonna be back there, for a while. So, we finally got some money from insurance payments through COVID vaccine. So the state collected a bunch of insurance payments. They actually collected over $12 million for all local health departments and hospitals throughout the state. We got just under 119,000 so far. It's the only time that money has been given to us from the state that has absolutely no stipulations whatsoever on it. So obviously I want to make some improvements back there. So I had Tammy pull the minutes from that April 21st meeting, and your motion was to get the 2 lowest bids that came in that night, 2 of the 3, and then rebid them with the exact same specs. So I'm working with my health board member, Lincoln Taylor, to kind of help me with the specs. Kind of think of maybe just some extra things we can do back there since we have the money to, you know, not do just the bare minimum. So hopefully to bid that out and maybe come back beginning of November with those bids so we can get some heat and spruce some things up back there. Definitely want to get some storage so we can get things out of boxes and look a
how are
little
you
bit
looking
better.
to do the force therapy? So you have
The
doors open and-
tubes, that, it's like everyone that came out there, so Miller and SNL,
Mhm.
they both suggested the tube heat that's back there, where the sheriff's bays
Right.
are.
I mean, you're gonna keep with that.
Basically, they said like if you're gonna have the doors open, which we are,
Yeah.
cause you can't close them, you know,
Right.
constantly. Your best thing that you're gonna get is just radiant heat, like in a certain 30-foot area. Like you're never gonna be able to consistently heat that when the doors are open. But that's gonna be a lot better than what we have now.
I mean, that's still the same, what we was talking about earlier.
Yeah, but I
It's
wanna
like-
do, like I wanna replace those, we have fans in there that are like the original fans. And the switch for the fans is actually on the sheriff's department side, so I'd like to rewire those to where we actually have
Why
control.
can't you reach over?
Right?
Got a
It's the health
question.
department, you're supposed to walk.
Right.
Got a question. If you've got a wish list out there,
Yeah.
look into, air curtains.
Okay,
You know what that is?
like the car wash? I said that before, didn't I? Is that what I'm talking about? Air
I don't know if
curtains?
the car, I don't know if it's car wash.
Or do you just, when like at the top of the door, they push air out? No?
What it is that at the doorway, when the door's open, this air curtain will blow air to separate the outside air from the inside air.
Okay.
And it's like a curtain, but it's a invisible
Like a
curtain.
physical curtain or just?
It's a air curtain.
Okay. When you say
So-
curtain, I just think something physical, but.
So
Awesome.
you're not, what it would do there is keep your heat in.
Okay,
And if the wind's blowing 100 miles an hour outside, it'll
Right.
affect it, but most of
Right.
the time it will sustain, you're not gonna lose all your heat.
okay,
So it's just like an air curtain.
yeah,
It's like if you would go into a freezer, if you were at a big warehouse
Yeah.
freezer type of thing, it's an air curtain.
well, I think like a lot of like hospitals have them, like right when you enter the doors and things like that, yeah,
So just look and see what that price of the one of those would be.
yeah,
I think you have to have a shuttle door.
Sometimes you don't.
I wonder if it would be, if you could put that there though with the garage door, how that would work, cause
Well,
if they're at the top of the door, when it rolled back, wouldn't that interfere with it?
I don't know.
It worked good for
Just a
blow off, you
suggestion.
got carbon dioxide put off.
Great. We call Mike to come rescue us.
Yeah, we're gonna do that.
But then like the other garage door, like it definitely needs replaced. It's the original from 20 plus years ago and it's bound to go out anytime. So things like that, like things that just work now, but you know, so, hopefully, like I said, November, I'll be coming back with those bids.
Sounds good.
And I think that's it. Do you guys have any COVID questions or anything like that?
I'm glad to see us drop.
Yes, me too.
I guess I know how that works. Is the testing up? Or is the
Testing,
still the same and the numbers are going down?
numbers are definitely going down, which they're seeing that across the state. So we had less than 100 new cases this week, which was the first time in several weeks. Testing is getting better, like there's a lot more availability, so less people are getting tested, but I think less people are sick now.
So the other part of this, is the health department still testing or are they all still going back to the hospital?
Going to the hospital mostly. We are doing testing Monday and Friday this week, so just kind of, those seem to be like the busiest days that people want to get tested, whether it's for
Over the
something on the
weekend.
weekend or they just came back from the weekend and they're sick. But we are working with the city to possibly put some testing at Mid-America. It's the state contracted with an organization called Gravity. It's actually who does all the testing for them now, but this lab, Gravity, would send their employees. They want to do 45 sites throughout the state. So hopefully we'll get one of those sites at Mid-America, just working on logistics of where they're going to be, how
So
who's
would
going to
that
pay for
replace,
it.
would that replace one or would that?
No, that
be
would
an
just be
additional?
a supplement. So they would operate Tuesday through Saturday, where the hospital operates Monday through
And
Friday.
the hospital and you are both still on appointment only?
Yes. Well, we're not. If we're open, you don't have to have an appointment, you can just drive through and we're, but the hospital is appointment only, because they only have so many staff members that are designated for the testing site,
Okay.
so.
Anything else?
No, I'm good.
Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
Kyle. We need to get an HVA guy in here.
Well, we just went over that. She just turned it
Girl
on.
forgot to turn the internet on.
I'm sure he's sorry died down there.
She got long sleeve shirts on, right?
So I just have two things for you. One is the new ambulance that was purchased. It'll be here this month. We have to have the check to them, which is $95,000, $95,321, which is coming out of our CARES. That'll leave us with a little over $5,000 left in CARES. Have to have you all okay it to be able to take that check up with me when we go pick it up.
I'll entertain a motion.
I do.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to give them the authority to write the check. That's what you need, right?
Yes, sir.
John makes a motion to give Kyle the authority to write a check for the $95,321 to pay for the remainder of the ambulance.
And before you go any further, that's okay through the auditor's office, there's not a concern there,
No.
back and forth, okay, yeah, that's not, yes.
Randy seconds the motion, and I'll make that unanimous.
Thank you.
So, here you go.
The other thing I have is our workman's
Actually,
comp.
hang on a
Oh,
second.
sorry.
That check is it written from you, or is it written
We write
from
the,
their
we write
camp?
the check.
Yeah,
Okay,
The-
Comes from
it's-
them, not
yes,
us.
It's in the auditor's letter.
okay, that's what that's where I'm going.
Yeah.
the other one is, our workman's comp insurance every year, they do, they open up for grant application. Just came to get permission to try to apply some of the striker stuff. I talked with them, and they would allow us to backdate since we purchased stuff that'll help our employees not get injured. So the amount I requested was a total of $174,013.66. What we would have to match is $34,802.73. It's not through the state or anything, it's just them. The grant application actually closed October the 1st, so we applied for it, and then we told them we would decline it if the commissioners and the council doesn't want us to apply for it.
So explain again
So it's workman's comp, anything that we can do to decrease the risk of injury to our
like
employees.
training and stuff.
Yeah, so like I applied for the 6 stair chairs, the 4 power stretchers, and the 4 power loads that we purchased. Those were all specific listed on their grant application. And so they cover 80%, we have to pay 20% of it.
And 34,807 would be our,
Yep, $34,800, $802.73 would be our portion of it.
is that, I mean, I'm guessing you've already been to the council for that part, or going
No,
to,
I'm going to them next
going to
week.
us first, and then?
Yes, sir.
So does he fill out a grant request form?
Got it right there.
Yes, and it's.
And that's a matching,
Well, they'll pay 80%, we pay 20, so I figured it would help us on some of the,
Yeah,
what we
So I
already
guess-
owe.
it's a good thing.
I think it is.
And that is through ITEP.
That's all right, yes, ma'am.
I appreciate your work on it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Actually, the highway department has received some IPEP monies before.
We've applied for
It's a
it.
good thing, because we spend quite a bit of money with
Yeah.
that group, and it's a good way for them to get back to their clients.
None of that has anything to do with any of that information you sent me on
No, sir.
the, alright.
I guess I'll entertain a motion to approve a grant for, our match of $34,802.73 if he gets the grant. And he's going to the council to get approval from them, so.
And I'll make that motion, and I appreciate your work on it, and, it's gonna save us a lot of headaches, I think, too. So the motion made on my part.
Motion's made,
Second.
Randy seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous.
And then
Then
we're gonna have Kyle,
I'll
I need you to sign
sign
that,
it. Yep.
and then have Mike sign it, and then we'll make a copy, and I'll get it to council.
And I'll also be coming back for 2 more grants. One is the EMS ARPS money. They have a separate, and it's for rural and poverty communities, which is we fall into that one. And then there's another portion to it, but it's not open yet. As soon as it does, I'll come back.
I'm gonna ask a question here, a financial question. Are the books looking any better in the third quarter here?
So me and Pat was discussing earlier, because we talked to Teresa. Teresa is usually always the opposite of wherever Pat is. So I talked before the meeting. Teresa was afraid that we would be somewhere 100,000 in the hole by the end of the year. I talked with Pat. We came up with something different. We're actually going to be 50,000 ahead at the very minimum. Of course, Teresa has to go off the first 6 months. We get to go off of what we can project on how we're going. And so I think we'll have at least 50,000 positive by the end of the year.
And is that off of
Just our general
revenue?
Yeah, our revenue helping out with
So
our
our
budget.
revenue's our
So-
revenue's gonna
Yeah.
outspend,
Well,
flank
our
the
revenue's
spending.
never really been the problem. It's been the spending that was the problem. And so I can assure you there's not as many claims going over to spend. We're only spending what we absolutely have to.
Okay.
And then hopefully, we got a grant back from FEMA for $37,000. That we have to make sure the council's okay with it coming back to us because it's labeled for EMS. but we still had to advertise for it. So I'll
Okay.
find out next week as well.
Okay. Sounds good.
Anything else from me?
I get a lot of compliments on you, Todd.
Well, thank you, I appreciate it.
Appreciate you, showing up as quick as you did today.
Well, I always try to show up to those, so.
Do we
Hopefully.
need to leave it in Mandy's urgent?
So,
I'll leave it
anyway,
to her.
looks like highway. Mr. Kevin.
Thank you.
I don't know what happened. She had you first and now she's got you down, 4 or 5 down. I don't know what happened.
You know, beggars can't be choosers.
He upset me last
By
week.
the way, by the way, I probably sent you down Leote Road by accident. So.
It may have been. I never did make it back out there. I plan on tomorrow. So
Leote, they all kind of
it all runs together. A little update on community crossing. We're looking at about 6 miles left. So,
They're all in 3.
all in 3, or,
Ox Road.
yeah, and then Oxtra.
Yeah.
That's all that's left. We have a culvert we're still waiting to get on there, so we kind of jumped over. If the weather cooperates, and other things cooperate, we're still looking good for, I'm hoping maybe the 3rd to 4th week of November, or October.
So when's I know you're always running into this, when's the plant shut down?
You know, typically a plant will shut down Thanksgiving week.
Okay.
So that's typical. Obviously, it all depends on the weather. So I think we're all right. We're still moving along. It's going to run us right up to the end. But, you know, that's a,
Well, next year, you ought to be able
when we was
Get
home
ahead.
to Ord Springs, it was almost an hour one way. So it's tough
Did you
going.
see the trash, I mean, the brush? That's coming up?
Yes, on Ord Springs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dwayne started on it yesterday, tractor broke down, so he went back out there today with another tractor. So I haven't been back out there, but we'll see.
we still got a mowing crew. or
I still got
mowing
Dwayne
person?
left right now. The other one went to work with farmers. Anyway, that's that. The second thing that I've been working on is I feel like we could probably get a brine system started in the county. I kind of put some numbers together on starting modestly, just kind of the entry level stuff, some kind of simple things just to get started.
Hang on a second.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to sort of, I know how the state does it,
Right.
because they know where it's gonna go, and I don't know how we could brine our roads. I mean, that would take a lot, wouldn't it? I mean,
So it'll take 12,000 gallons to brine
yeah.
all our roads, if we was to do all our lane miles, I guess, which we won't do all of them. But, so you're looking at, I think I had it figured roughly $850. You could brine every road in Scott County at about
Okay.
40 gallons per lane mile, give or take. So it's pretty
That's pretty
pretty
good.
economical,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, that is pretty
You know,
Compared to what salt costs.
compared to us. So of course, it's not as good, but it's better than
It's
nothing by
temporary.
far, you know.
It's a good start.
I told the guys I think it may be a product we could use and utilize. I'm just gonna use Liberty Knob because I haven't ever been up in the winter, but it just looks like it'd be terrible. You know, after the event, you know, they could use this and this very light salt and clean up dangerous areas. I think with we have like $10,000 in salt budget, which is
What
not
kind
going
of
to get you
holding
much.
tank are we talking about?
Well, right now, just to start out, we have an emulsion tank that's not being used at the, I think it's pretty much scrap metal, honestly. I think we can utilize it this year anyway. As far as the brine maker goes, they make a self-contained unit that I found. There's no-
Self-contained, I mean, you would put it on the truck.
this is what makes it. It's on a pallet. It's got a gas motor. There's no electronics. It's as simple as a pump and a 3-way valve. I've worked on a lot of those systems. The more electronics you put on them, the worse it is.
When you said brine, I choked because I got to tour the Harrison County's brine system, and I don't know if you've ever seen it.
But I've seen some.
It's unbelievable.
I've seen some real nice ones.
Well, their whole building, their building where they put their salt is all galvanized. And it's probably 100 foot wide and probably 300 foot long, if not longer, and about 20 foot high. And that's just for their salt to be dumped in there, and their trucks actually pull inside the building, and they have a dock they back into, and they load the salt. But on the other end of the building is their brine station, which they have 3 or 4 of these big, got gigantic tanks. And then inside of another building is the computer system that works the whole pumps and everything.
Yeah, it keeps it at like
It-
23%.
Oh, yeah, it about choked me when they were showing, I was like, oh my gosh,
So,
not-
you know, this
I was
system,
thinking about the brine too, and I thought there was a cost to it, and that's not a bad cost.
there is, and I mean, this one here, you know, you just use a handheld barometer and you check the salinity of the salt. And it's pretty basic stuff, and, you know, it's a modest beginning, but it'll get you there, and it's gonna end up the same.
I even laughed about it because even the state, and I mean, I've seen it because they got a semi-trailer that is a tanker, and they got a pipe out the back of it, and they just drive down the road. I was like, what the
Improvement at a
heck?
very low cost.
It is.
That's amazing. I thought it'd be a lot more.
It is,
I
well,
bet.
let me, before we're done, we ain't quite done.
Okay. All right. Go through
Cha-ching.
So here would be the, yeah, the rest of the story.
Paul Harvey.
So, obviously you gotta have a truck to spray it out of. So my first thought was that, you know, we do have a fire truck. I mean, that could get by. And after a little bit of research, stainless steel, it takes it a while to hurt it, but the welds ain't stainless steel, which is probably gonna cause an issue. So it's a pretty good truck. I would hate to
Destroy it.
destroy it.
What, actually, we could probably get it cost in, it's not insulated, right?
No.
So we could
No, it's
probably
not, sure.
get a quote for somebody to come in and,
Put a body or something.
cap the welds with
Oh,
stainless.
okay.
Well, we'll top up with a 309 rod that's.
And I might, I don't know a whole lot about
Yeah.
that. Maybe something you want to stop by and look at. We might, maybe something we could do. But they do have a pretty modest system that I found, and it's a 1,000-gallon tank, 1,075. It's got its own motor, so you can put it in any truck. You know what I mean? Like we could put it in
So it
one
slides
dump.
in.
It slides in. We could possibly even put it in if we ever got a dual-wheel truck or something. It's not a dump truck. You just slide it, strap it down. I've never used one exactly like this. This is a little less high-tech, I guess. But I think it'd be good for us just because multiple use on trucks. You don't have to have one dedicated truck. Or if one breaks down, we just slide it in another truck type thing. Anyway, it was like $14,000. And from the digging around I done, that's about as good as it's going to get as far as the price tag goes. We do have $9,000 left in our equipment purchasing from the roller that burnt down, so we never used that. So, you know, that would pretty much leave us with needing $12,100. We have about $280,000 left in our asphalt for the year. I feel like that would probably be a good transfer, because we're not going to use all that up. We'll run out of weather before we use that up in 2021. So anyway,
So you think you have the money if,
yeah, we do have the money if we transfer out an asphalt line into
and that's for, the system?
That's for,
and the
we would need
transport?
$12,100 to get the transport and get the system. Now, we have $10,000, and I don't know if I said that, in salt fund for this year.
But you'd still wanna keep that though.
The
But you
salt,
may- Yeah, but you may not need as much as you normally would need if you're gonna brine, because a lot of times we don't,
well, I see, I think I got it figured, it would take, say you done the whole county, it would take 36 tons. Well, so $10,000 only buys about 125 tons. So you could do the county 5 or 6 times in the winter, which I'll do it.
do we have storage for that?
We're gonna make storage. We don't have it right now, but we'll have to
I
come up with
wondered about
something in a bay or something to do it.
I should've bought one Quonset huts from the,
And I've been looking
Marble
at
Hill.
some of them too, yeah.
cause all they wanna do is take it down, you could have it.
Yeah, that would be nice to have that. I'm working on getting, the state contract price for the salt. I talked to Jason over here at, the City of Scottsburg has that set up, we're not set up, but I'm working on getting the right contacts to do that. Then we can get it out of Jeffersonville, to my understanding, from the port, and we'll get it at state pricing, which is considerably cheaper when we get it any other way.
Okay.
City's been pretty good to work with, haven't they?
Yeah,
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 I think so.
yeah, they are. Okay, that's that, so
So you need approval to do that?
it's in the same line item, so basically it's just more information.
Then, if you, is it a vehicle that he's talking about?
No, it's a brine system and a tank.
System and a tank.
Yeah,
It's just equipment.
Yeah, if you've got money and it's an approved expenditure for that thing, and they're okay with it.
Council moves it around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's more with council at that point, if they're not against it, then you're
yeah,
okay.
no problem.
Just go with our approval.
Okay.
What else you got? Cause there's a ball getting ready to drop here.
Oh, let's see here. Yeah, that was that. So, I've been working on trucks and our fleet, and you can't buy a pickup truck right now, nor can you order one. So, I guess with that being said, it kind of puts a cork in it, but
Yeah, I was actually talking to a car dealer, over the weekend, and he told me, cause I said, what is gonna happen here? Because the 21s are still sitting out there, and some of them are still trying to get chips for them, and then the 22s are gonna come out. Actually, they normally come out already now, and what they're gonna do, he goes, well, what they're gonna do is they're going to chip all the 21s, they're gonna short run the 22s, and they're not gonna make very many of the 22s, and then they're gonna start in 23 making, the full, range of trucks or vehicles again. So I guess 20 years from now, you need to be buying a 2022 vehicle and parking it, because there aren't gonna be very many of them made.
so I guess this would be more of a discussion right now than after kind of finding out what I found, but, so I priced our whole fleet, and they come back at a really good price right now. The thing of it is, I can't replace all of them because they don't have them. And I know council kind of questioned me about doing the lease thing and just rotating the fleet out. So looks like it would probably work well if they had trucks. Now, the Colorado and the F-150, I guess that was my two that I said, well, those are the trucks I think.
I thought we were switching the Colorado out with.
Well, we talked about it.
We talked about it, we never did,
Never did.
kind of never did it and never really kind of moved on it.
Well, I think we still need to do that.
But they did offer, and this was just a thought, and they did offer $48,500 for that Colorado and F-150, which you'll never recoup that kind of money off them again, because that's a pretty impressive price for them two trucks, I think.
So they did what now? They offered you?
Yeah, they offered us $48,500 for those two trucks. You're talking, trucks that's had holes drilled in the grills with lights and everything.
That's
So
for both of them.
for both of them, yeah.
Wow.
I mean, the Ford is just crank up window, no power alarm, there's nothing special about it, maybe for me.
So what are you, of course you're saying,
Yeah, so.
they made an offer,
Buggy or?
Well, here's my thought.
they made an offer, they made a heck of
Here's
an
my
offer, but
thought.
they don't have anything to replace it.
Well, they had a couple single axle dually, and I was looking for utility bed trucks, which could be something that would work, but I would want at least one Ford order to replace that, at least the Ford, But if we could sell those trucks and recoup that money and have our auction, and then let me see what we can find. And if we had those funds to buy something else, I mean, we have enough junk trucks sitting around there that we're gonna try to sell in the auction to get us by, for a little while.
If he was to do that, would that money go right back into his fund, rather than back into general somehow or other? Or would we have to go through the whole process?
It would be receipted if the funds were expended from the highway to buy this, it would be receipted back into the highway fund.
That's what I want.
So what do you do for vehicles? Cause I mean,
Well, right now we have,
no, I mean, if you sell,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Right now we have enough older trucks that I plan on putting in the auction to get rid of. We got
Still got old red there.
yeah, well, it quit again.
Did it?
But we got an F-350 that we did get going, which is running pretty good now.
But you're gonna get by until they.
Yeah, we're gonna get
trucks
by,
come
we're
out.
gonna get
so you
by.
want to sell, okay, so you want to sell these two, and
Yeah.
you're gonna drive the older truck?
Yeah, we'll drive the older trucks till we
Until-
figure out. I'm sure we'll find trucks. It's just, I hate to settle for something that maybe is not what we need.
Yeah,
And they may not, this is a trade-in offer. That was basically say he'll give you that for these two trucks. But this isn't really exactly what I think we want. So it's like, if they would give us that kind of money on a straight buyout offer, we could take it and then look to see that we could replace those two vehicles later with something else and just get by whatever we can right now. And we do have one truck sitting down at the shop to get looked at, that old Ford Type stroke, see
so what are you wanting to do?
if it's worth
What's
fixing.
your thought?
I think I would just like to sell them right now and then recoup that money and then see what we can find as far
Because
as.
you're not gonna get that price again for them.
You'll never regain that much money on these two trucks, I don't think.
I mean, that's,
Now, here's the thing, I mean, it's gonna be hard to find. It may take a while to find some trucks, but we'll get by.
somebody will have them eventually.
Yeah.
Does EMS need that truck right now anyways?
It's a chase vehicle right now. I think.
But do they need that many chase vehicles?
I don't know. Probably, I mean, that's not, I don't know.
I think they loan it out now somewhere.
Long
Am I
enough.
thinking of,
I'm
I'm
thinking about
thinking
the
of,
white
I'm thinking
pickup.
the wrong vehicle.
I don't
Loan
think
dog
they need
out
it.
all the time.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
The Durango, I think, could be the second vehicle and they can get by until,
Well, he can
Yeah,
get
sure.
with Kyle and maybe work something out.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering if you,
That'd be,
I still think it's a truck you need and not.
I haven't spoke to Kyle about it. I know he called up there once and it was like $5,000 to get the Colorado, I think maybe lit the lights and whatever it needs on it.
that's a wish list, I think.
Yeah. So I'm kind of open on it. Just,
I think if you're asking for us, I think if they're gonna give you 48 or what, $49,000 for two of our vehicles, I'd say sell them.
I feel like if we got
But then
that.
again, that's a
if-
trade-in for something they're gonna sell you and.
Yeah, so I think they may offer us more on straight out, maybe not. We'll see what the.
I would say and I know that dealers have been calling people that have sold trucks, they have sold trucks to in the last 2 or 3 years, trying to buy their truck back. And, so if they're good with that, I'd try to do whatever you do, but I wouldn't, my suggestion would be not buy something you don't want.
Yeah, that's kind of what, I mean,
and I agree with that. Does he need permission from us to sell those? I assume he would,
Have your blessing to trade
Yeah.
those vehicles in
yeah.
I think
or
it's,
sell outright, however you
Yeah.
guys wanna word it.
I think having those two vehicles in your fleet was the silliest thing I ever heard of, so you got my blessing to get rid of them.
So
okay.
are you making the motion to,
Yeah.
to take them out of the county inventory,
Yes.
sell them or trade them in, whatever you deem necessary?
Yeah.
Randy makes a motion,
I'll second that.
John seconds, and I'll make that unanimous, so.
And,
Okay,
yeah,
so-
you'll take them out whenever
Yeah, we're just gonna see what exact offer I can get just to buy them straight out and, cause it's gonna be more right now than you'll ever get.
So-
Maybe after the auction, we'll see what kind of money we got.
So back to the Brian thing.
Yeah.
Are you want to do that this year?
Yes, we can have it going, I think this system was 6 weeks out, he emailed me. This system was just like 30 days out.
So that's the better system?
Well,
Or
this
that
is,
one
this is the
tank?
spray, this is to actually make it and pumps
Okay.
it out into the tank. That's actually goes in the truck.
So that goes in the truck, that sits in a base in
Yeah.
place. Okay.
So less than 20, well, 14, where'd it go?
But you said-
12,100, we could be up and
But you
going.
said earlier that the Brian, that all the county roads, all of them,
All of
is 800 or less than
Like $850
$1,000. That's
Well,
unbelievable.
that's what it me, I thought it'd be
I thought it-
8,000 something. Yeah.
It would cost, right now, the water bill would be up a little bit, but I think moving in the future, a lot of places is doing this. They're running their gut, they're putting a tank in the ground, running their rainwater in it. The state a lot of time uses their wash bay, their recycled water off their salt trucks and uses that. So there's a lot of ways we can get around that in the future to save a lot of money. I think about 15 cents a gallon is what it is.
That's unbelievable, because I always thought it was more. And I know salt's expensive, but I mean, or it was for us, but.
It's not the greatest thing, but I think it would be a major move for the county. It's just gonna clean up a
Well, there's
lot
some-
easier, a lot faster.
There's some areas that is notorious for just being just a
Can't get it
hazard.
off.
Just
Yeah,
an
just a
absolute hazard. I mean, and you, actually, well, it's not, it's a state highway though, over on, right there at, Slate Ford Road on 356.
Yeah.
I mean,
It is.
the other night, I mean, last winter, oh, there's one off the road, whoop, there's another one off the road, whoop. I think there's about 5 or 6 off the road in a matter of seconds. So, but that was a state highway, but,
Yeah.
I think anytime we can do it, and that's a reasonable price, I think we try it.
Yeah, there's some things that we can buy to mix in with it to heat it up in dangerous areas pretty cheaply. You know, you just add 10% to it and on our dangerous areas, so we can make a try towards it, I think.
Sounds good, appreciate it.
Right. So the trucks we're good, we're good.
I put to sell or trade. So,
Trade them
like
off, or
that
sell them,
Jenny
probably
Green.
just sell them straight out, or
If you're
unless
not-
they comes up with a good truck.
If they don't have something you want, I wouldn't,
Yeah.
I'd just get the money.
Okay, sounds fair.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, one quick question, where are we at with, do we ever, are we still stalled out on the road signs? In our pick of areas where we was wanting to put stop signs up and
Actually, we're waiting for Melissa to come back with
That's
a
why I
the
think-
road study. And actually, it wasn't Nick, but it was, one of the other engineers said that his group actually does do that.
Oh, Adam,
Adam.
JHTB or whatever.
Yeah, he said that his group actually does it. So
Yeah,
he
he-
said, because I told him to get us a price, and I'm surprised that he's not here tonight.
Actually, he called me a couple of nights ago and he wanted to know what the guy said, send all us a price and we'll go from there.
Because he said, I'll get you a price, and he's gonna do the road study. He goes, some of these will only do speed or something, and some of them, they do the count, they do the other, and Melissa was,
Well, he threw out a number at me, like 30,000. And I said, why don't you throw out a number of what it would cost per mile or something?
yeah,
So
because
I said, we may not wanna do everything, we might.
not at once,
Yeah,
yeah.
break it down for us.
To do the road study.
Yeah.
I talked to an ex-coworker that works in Signals, and he's getting us some vendor information, for that. He puts them up. He was telling me a little bit about them, so I'm gonna try to get some pricing to see how much the actual sign with the flashers and everything actually costs, because I'm sure they're pretty expensive.
Yeah.
So we'll get an idea on what them are.
Yeah, like I said, yes, you're right, they were supposed to get back with the price, so it sounds like Adam's gonna
He
send it to us.
yeah, he said he was not, trying to make sure all three of us got the same thing.
Okay. So, all right, thanks, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Sheriff.
Hi, Sheriff.
What'd you say?
Yes, I got stiff from sitting there.
You said you fell asleep.
I said, you was huffing the other day, I'm stiff, can't walk.
What you got?
I've only got a couple of things here. One of them is, I don't know if you noticed or not, but the birdhouse has been taken down, the tower.
Oh, you ended up
Yeah,
taking
it's
it
gone,
down?
Scottsburg City Electric. So I was gonna actually say a public thank you to the Scottsburg City Electric, 'cause they come down, took that thing down, it was down for, it was amazing how they just boomed done it, and it was gone. So, yeah, it's gone. Yeah, they did, and it's down at the John Jones Building, waiting for the auction. So, another one else.
So did that come apart in pieces?
Yeah, it was sectioned. I think it was 20-foot sections is what it was. So, another thing too is that the county had 2 canine castles, they're called, and they were given to J.R. Ward and Josh Watterson whenever they had their canines. They don't have those canines anymore, so we've made told them we need those back. Those were $2,350 a piece. So our new canine does not want that. He's got just a regular kennel or whatever it is, you know. So we're on.
Just gonna sell them?
Yeah, I'm gonna put them down the auction too.
Have you already got them?
No, we're making attempts to get them. So we'll go with that, and I may be talking to Zach, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying, about some
well,
stuff
we'll say
later.
more,
Yeah, so. Another thing I want to talk to you about was, whenever the EMS director was out there, Shannon, he had promised us 4 defibrillators, AEDs, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So, we've been waiting on them things forever, and we need 3 right now. We've been waiting on them since.
Actually, I just talked to Kyle, he was telling me about that, so we're trying to figure out how we can just, you know, we've got them, I think.
I think we have 2.
Okay.
Not maybe misstating that, but.
Well, we're not sending any of those back, so I guess where I was going with that was that we told him to hold them for you.
Okay.
So, I guess, were you buying that, or were you buying
He
them,
was,
or
he
were they for
he
the?
volunteered for us.
Okay.
I can pay through, yeah, for ARP or
Well, I'm
whatever
not-
it is.
Yeah, that's where we were going, cause we're trying to use ARP money to buy a couple other, or a few other things that went that way too, so.
I would say the only issue, I don't know if it's an issue, but we have to keep track of them, don't we? So when we do our, who's the guy that comes in?
Federal audit.
Yeah,
They'll be,
he's gotta know where it's all at.
But we just need one for the lobby, one for the jail, and then one for the basement. That's what we need. And then we had one extra in case one of those went bad, probably was. We could probably get by 3 though, because if one goes bad downstairs, we could always run the one from the jail down there, whatever it is. we need.
yeah, I think Kyle just said he had 2, so.
That's what I thought.
So if that's the case, we'll have to get with somebody and see if we can purchase 2 more, and can we purchase those through the ARP money? Cause right now, we're just gonna use what we've already, I guess, bought through Stryker to, use the ARP money to pay for
Yeah,
it, or pay for it again.
with the, if they were donated to like a not-for-profit as a grant, that's how we would kind of.
That's how, yeah, that's how
Use
that
the
would
ARP
work.
money.
It wouldn't have worked, it won't work,
In-house.
correct.
Okay.
Not that I'm aware of.
So then the ARP money won't pay for us replacing the ones at the sheriff's department.
One suggestion maybe to make is with your special purpose jail operations fund, you might be able to get council to appropriate money
I don't know
from
what
the
the cost of
special
those are.
lit, because it involves the jail
You
building.
said it, but I cannot.
You might be able to get,
You said it was $2,000.
It's something like that.
Well, surely we can.
Yeah, actually, he did say 2,000, threw out a $2,000 price tag.
for the other 2.
Somewhere along the line, we can do that.
Well, I mean, to be compliant at the jail,
Yeah.
we need to be doing it now, not,
Yeah, I can't wait another
Not
6
forever.
months, you know what I'm saying?
not forever. All right, Jeff, go ahead.
Right?
Could we,
I had a grant in the company I went through, I got 2 for less than 4,000.
Can you get another grant? Old buddy.
I'm just saying, there's a company that I bought mine through that was $3,000 something for 2 of them. And that included the AED, I got 8 sets of extra adult pads and wall cabinets and signage. And it was less than $4,000.
Well, I guess the kicker here is that,
These were priced above 2 per piece.
yeah, and I don't know
I don't
if,
know
I don't
what
know
the
if
exact.
what they
number
came in a
is.
box and they're, or they came in a, well, if they're for the ambulance, they're not gonna put them in a box, they're gonna be standalone probably.
We've got the boxes already.
Yeah.
We got the boxes.
could you paint up and sell some more piglets?
Well, we've made almost $7,500 on that one. so-
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I,
You only need half, so you
I
make
think,
a little bit.
I think he's gonna have to go to the council and ask for the money, I mean,
Have appropriate
because
I think we-
it's a requirement to have them in the jail, and if you don't have them now, I mean,
We've got that, it's the big, what's it called, the machine, I can't.
Lucas device.
Yeah, that's where they strap it on you, that we've got one of them, so we're compliant, but it's just that thing is,
Yeah, but that doesn't shock you, that,
No,
just
that,
does
that
the
just,
thing.
that just does CPR.
Okay.
that's what the Lucas device.
Yeah, it won't shock you, it'll just, pump your chest.
Yeah, that's basically there if you haven't got enough manpower to take care of it.
Oh, actually, they do a better job than
Oh, yeah.
actually a human being, but,
Another thought, Jerry, just kind
cause
of
it's
coming
consistent.
to in my brain here is you were reimbursed some FEMA monies, about 5,000 and some odd dollars that we got notification that was coming back from when,
From FEMA.
from FEMA.
Can we use that then? 'Cause that would be
So
COVID monies too.
that
You would be getting reimbursement for cleaning stuff.
Yes, and so what, since you have that congregate population over there, they approve things for schools and jails and whatnot. And so you got approved where others didn't, and I think now they're going back and letting you claim, what we get, Jeff, even expenses that were farther back than that.
Okay,
I said
Yeah, but so I think he's-
$3,000 that we were getting
Yeah.
reimbursed for cleaning.
Yes,
Uh,
so,
let me clarify, if you're saying that we can't give the sheriff's department two of these AEDs that we have sitting in our possession.
no, you
No,
can,
you can't.
it's just
You cannot.
use ARPA monies to
Correct.
pay the striker invoice for
That's what
those two.
I'm, but that's
Yes.
what, but what, that's what I'm saying, but if he's got money that
can
he
buy.
can, on a line item, switch back to us or general fund to say, I just bought these from the county, or he bought them from
he could
EMS,
write a
because
claim.
technically they're
He could write
on.
a claim from some of his funds, to pay on the striker invoice.
That's what I'm trying to get to.
We can make, yes, he could write a claim from one of your funds or what gets appropriated by council and write it to striker.
That's where
And
I'm,
make a payment against that invoice balance. And that would be the clean way.
because we
to do
have
it.
two that we can get him right now,
Yes.
so.
And he could have them, and we just need to write a claim,
Just
pay
do it
the
that way.
striker.
So-
We can
Yeah,
work with
you just
Pat
need
to
to-
do that.
Okay.
You just need to contact, is it Kyle?
Kyle,
To figure out, I think it's two, I'm just saying that.
I think that's what he
think
just
that's
told
what
me, he
just
only
said.
had two of those,
So,
so I told him to hold them
make
for you.
sure that it's two, and then you can do one claim for the two right now, and then whatever you need to do later on to get the
Or
third
just from a
device.
vendor and.
Purchase from a third vendor and go through the normal process.
Yes,
So-
that works.
That'll
That'll
work,
work.
so, alright, can we make
So
a
we can-
motion to do that, or do we?
You don't,
I
you
don't
don't
think
believe you
you
have
would
to.
need to, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
well,
you're
then
good,
give
so you
it,
can just
give,
contact
give
Give
us
us
Kyle,
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 do
tell
your
him that,
AEDs, and
and
Pat can help you write the claim.
okay,
Okay.
Your
So I
AED,
get you
write the
two.
claim with Pat.
That'll work.
then I guess you'll have to go to the council for the third or fourth one, whatever you're doing, but we don't have any extras.
Let's talk with Teresa about those FEMA and see if we've received them, the funds, I mean, from FEMA.
I think they were waiting on
That form on my
that to
desk.
be signed off on who did the work. And then I
Okay,
think
and then
it's
they'll release the funds.
$23,000 something dollars.
Yeah.
We've got, I think we turned in $75,000 to FEMA for cleaning.
For the- Well, my total was
They came
like
back and said they wouldn't pay some of
certain
it.
things.
I
They,
think they ended up saying, the last email I got was 24,000 something.
that, yes,
That
we,
will be reimbursed.
That'd be to us, that was through us,
that would
'cause
be,
we
if
had,
it was spent through the jail, then
Yeah, it
that's
was.
where we'll try to
yeah,
put
yeah,
them,
that'd be
we'll
good.
deposit it back, but then again, it's one of those cycle things. Will it go into, a fund that they can appropriate this
Right,
year,
yeah.
or do you get it next
Right,
year,
yeah,
technically,
right.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, whatever we need to do, so we'll get that, we got two of them on the list.
Just go to Kyle tomorrow and tell him to bring them out to you.
Last thing I got is just a commissary report. We were scheduled to do this back in June or July, or not June, but July or August, and we got, something happened that we got it postponed, so I wanted to get this over with, so we wouldn't have to worry about that. This is from January 2021, January 1, 2021, which is this year, obviously, to June the 30th, 2021. So you can read through there and see if there's, you know, if you got any questions or anything. It's pretty self-explanatory, you know what I'm saying, on the monies and all that, so.
Okay.
Indigent kits.
And this is something that you do with council and commissioners twice a year.
Yeah.
I think by law, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
we do.
actually what the auditor told us in that exit interview, that they do it twice a year. So, it's clear as mud. Looks good.
Yeah, it's just, it's, you know, it's self-explanatory, so. If there's any questions or, if, you know what I'm saying, books are always open, so it ain't,
Yeah, right.
just come and look, so no big deal. All
All
right.
right.
I
Sounds
think
good.
that's all I got.
Thanks, sir.
All right, you guys got any questions
Sorry
for
to make
me?
you wait.
No, that's fine.
I have a question. Well, it's not for you, Jerry, but you can listen.
Well, shucks.
Back to the AEDs, because when you started talking about that, I raised my hand, because I knew that when, the numbers were sent out, how many AEDs, and I don't know what that number was. One was contacted by Shannon saying, you know, I've got you an AED, I've got you, a Lucas device, and they weren't interested in a Lucas device, you have to be very trained to use that. But the fire department never got its AED. So where are all these AEDs? Have they all been accounted for?
Well, I think,
The number that I'm giving out, the two, is the number that is unaccounted for, or unclaimed, essentially. Anything that was, gifted at any point or intended to be gifted is not included in the number that I'm using. So 2 is not total of what was purchased.
So
the ones that were given, the ones that, we're not sending them all back, I guess, to clarify that.
Okay.
We're not sending all of them back. We were sending 2 back that weren't asked for or donated to, or will be donated to fire departments or other identities, so. We're gonna have to, I guess we can do it anytime. The money's it's already gonna be paid for, so.
Yeah.
So, let me get with Kyle and tell him that, well, he's gonna get with him, take 2 of them, so the 2 that we were actually gonna send back, that were above and beyond what we were giving away to other identities, so.
Before they get delivered, though, I think those are some of the items that can be recouped essentially as donated to a not-for-profit. So I just want to be real clear when it happens, who it gets, for each of those, who it gets donated to, how that worked, and so that we can account for all those things when we're going back.
Can we come up with some sort of documentation that we can have the fire chiefs or whoever we're giving these to sign off saying they received this AED from ARP money at this time?
Yeah, I think the commissioners need to have something that's approved, plan to donate these items to the emergencies, not-for-profit services in the county, i.e. the fire departments, and list them and what items you're donating.
That's what
Then
I'm
get
at.
council to approve that expenditure from the ARPA monies as well, because they have to appropriate the money. So then it needs to move to council, and then once that's done.
But what I'm saying is that if the feds come in and say, I wanna know where that AED is, and we could
We've
say,
got the plan. to
we got the
show.
plan and we had them sign off that they received it,
Right.
so.
So we could
Get with Kyle
technically
tomorrow,
I will.
get 2 of those.
do this
Take it.
November.
All right, guys.
Maybe
See ya.
November.
Appreciate it.
Jerry.
Courthouse roof replacement bid opening.
Oh,
I
this is
have
the-
bids.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
Okay, you wanna be the one
And
that
just to
does
be,
the honors?
upfront with everybody, what we're talking about here is is bids for the courthouse replacement of the roof that's been leaking for some time now, so. And this, to my knowledge, has, money has been set aside by council for this project, and we're opening bids of whatever, so.
Yeah, we'll mention that this one was accidentally sent to a
So
belong
the
office,
first
and they
one-
opened it to see who it belonged to.
The first one's American Roofing and Metal Company at 4610 Roofing Road, Louisville, Kentucky. Filed with the county September 29th, 2021. It looks like it was addressed to the clerk's office and accidentally opened, but I don't believe anybody has looked at the contents.
No.
So,
Cause they brought it to us and said that belongs over there.
maybe it shouldn't have been there.
It's,
Seeing an amount here.
When the A1
I didn't even know that.
Maybe I've gone blind.
I didn't know they were gave a bid.
Oh, here's their, that's 5% of the bid.
That
We
company
asked for
there, I didn't know
5%
they
of the
bid
bid, good
before,
faith money, there's their.
Because Kyle had
insurance.
estimates from a few, but I don't remember seeing that company. But if I'm not mistaken, American is, yeah, they're big. I think that's where I got my shingles from. So I went down there and bought them and Lions put them on.
The bid is the sum of $171,900.
71 and 900?
I'm sorry.
Was it
How much?
American, what was American?
$171,900.
And metal company.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, I have a question. What did the council approve for? 200?
Yes.
Okay, good, because I'm glad he could answer.
I thought it was 2
Well,
or
they started out
250.
for like 300 and then they go, well, I was there.
It was 2 or 250, but I can't
I
remember.
thought it was 2, but I mean. you
I
may
think,
be right.
I think you're right, because we talked about 150 in range, and they said, well, we don't want to have to come back, so let's
Yeah.
just approve
The
200.
200.
Because I think
Yeah,
we're gonna
you're
find
right.
more
Yeah, that's
repairs
right.
out there when we
You're
get
right.
there.
Yeah. Go ahead.
The second one is from Roofing Integrity Quality Value and from Royalty
Yeah.
at 2099 East Tipton Street, Seymour, Indiana, filed with the auditor on October 6th.
Actually, that's surprising, because I thought initially Royalty backed out.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Tammy, I think maybe you should do this.
Well, never trust a lawyer with a sharp iron.
I think all the Royalty did,
Oh my
'cause,
gosh. You're so.
actually.
Rodney Rudder trying to open the candy bag that time is on, or something, that's almost.
It's all the ocean stuff that you
It's
had.
good
Right.
that you carry a gun, because with you brute force would not get it.
The total amount is $148,998. There's a statement in here about the lost original copy of bid bond.
148.
Oh,
148,
because we
998.
asked, part of the bid process was that you asked for a surety bond or whatever, 5% of the amount you bid.
Yep.
So maybe they misplaced it.
148,
998.
998.
Okay. All right.
Are we, just to be sure, are we comparing apples to apples here? I mean,
They should have, we had a spec sheet that they all picked up, and they should be going by that spec sheet.
As a
So,
part of invitation for bids, we develop criteria for what they're supposed to.
and
Well, I get what Randy's saying, because some of them had different gauge of metal,
yeah.
and,
that's
And
where
I
you guys
feel-
will look to see if they quoted a better quality than what you even asked
Well,
for,
we don't
and
have
if you wanna go for that price.
Vote on it, I'm happy with.
Nope, I'm
we
sorry.
We
can
can
table
table
it.
Here's
Yeah, we
what
can
we
table it, because I'd like to see the fine tune.
In
I
the
do too, and
process.
see what, there's people smarter than me on this might have some ideas.
Most of the time, you guys table them and review them.
Yeah, that's what I was telling John, I don't wanna do this and just say, well, the price is better at this one, and then it might be something else not to be as accurate, so go ahead.
Yeah.
Final bid is from Exterior Pro Roofing, filed with the auditor on the 6th of October. I'm guessing prior to 4 o'clock was the.
They're from Madison, aren't they?
I've never heard
It
of it.
doesn't actually say on
I think it's Madison.
I've never heard of them. The only one I've actually, I know American and I
They're
know
pretty big.
Royalty, but I know American because I went down and got some shingles down there one time.
They
The
put it
bid
in.
amount is $246,950.
900 and what?
$246,950.
That's a heck of a difference.
Yeah, that's $70,000 more than the next highest.
It's almost 100.
Yeah, almost 100 over the other one.
So I don't know what you're getting from that, but.
Well,
There's
Okay.
the three, so.
so, how this works is we got three bids that we opened for roofing, and let me clarify, metal roof of the courthouse, along with, probably some repairs that we're gonna have, once we pull the shingles off and see what we got. But, and I'm gonna read the three, quotes. It looks like American Metal for $171,900, Royalty Roofing, $148,998, and Exterior Pro Roofing, $246,950. So at this time, I'm going to, ask to table this till our next meeting so that we can all review the quotes.
You need a motion to table it, or just do it?
You do need a
To take
motion.
them under advisement, yes.
Okay, yeah.
John makes a motion to take the quotes under advisement till our next meeting.
I'll second that.
Randy seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous, so. And the reason being is we wanna make sure each quote is, apples to apples. I mean, that they're, you know, the same quality of materials and everything is being done the same way, so. So with that, we'll move on to the next thing here, and I know why he resigned, but, we have a letter of resignation from, a board member of the Scott County Public Defender Board. And this is Joey Bukowski, and Joey sold his house and moved to Seymour, closer to his grandson and his son. So with that, I don't know, we've ever appointed someone to this board, and I didn't know he was on this board, and I guess I'd like to table this too.
Well, I gave you an updated list of your board
I got
appointees
that,
for
yeah.
this 2021
And
year.
we're guessing, we probably ought to accept his resignation.
Oh, yeah, I guess
I know
I'll
he's resigning, but,
entertain a motion to accept his resignation.
yeah, and I'll second it, Randy.
Randy made a motion, John seconded, I'll make that unanimous. Now, I'd like to, table, replacement for him until our next meeting, so everybody has an opportunity to be able to, you know, talk to somebody if they might wanna put on the board, so, you guys good with that?
The one requirement for a public defender board appointee is that the person have a high, the statute says, you know, demonstrated an interest in high quality legal representation for indigent persons. And there's specific people that it cannot be, so, city, town, or county attorney, law enforcement officer, judge, court employee, attorney who provides representation to indigent persons in the county or region. So somebody who already has a vested interest in the public defender office. An employee of the Department of Child Services, or an employee of individuals described in subdivisions 1 through 6.
So technically, it can't be an attorney or somebody in the legal.
No, it can be an attorney, it just can't be
A local
a city, town, or county attorney.
Okay.
Yeah, so an attorney who is the city attorney as defined by statute.
Okay.
Now, that is a paid position, is that correct?
This appointment?
Yes.
No,
Oh, it's not?
no.
Okay.
I believe there's a piece of it that deals with reimbursements for certain
Okay.
expenditures, but it is not a paid position.
It looks like it's a
To my
3-year
knowledge.
term. Is there other people on this board?
There are, there would be one appointed by the
Courts?
local circuit court judges, and I believe one is appointed by the Indiana Public Defender Council, which is its own body that sits in Indianapolis.
It looks like we just have one appointment, this just happens to be ours.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess everybody come up with somebody or think about somebody for our next meeting, we'll decide on that date. All right, we'll take considerations for the September 2021 regular monthly claims. Everybody had an opportunity, I know they were sent to your email, everybody had an opportunity to look at those.
Yes.
Best of him.
So I'll entertain a motion to accept the claims.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
I'll make that unanimous. Along with that,
If we said no.
we also have a claim for payable to Ross Tree Service for $2,800.
I got a question about that.
And I have the details down here, Randy, if you want to look more at the claim.
Yeah, please.
Okay, I'll just write that down, Randy.
Just trying to pull that off there.
That's a sticky note. Yeah, I just made a copy with the sticky note. because there was a question on that as well, as to, I'm assuming you guys might wanna take it out of your rental proceeds?
That was, for what's worth, I think, Steve took bids on that when he did this. Steve Boyle, we did.
Oh, that's
took
probably
bids
one of
on
my
that.
papers attached to
That's a
this.
tree
These are all
down
the
Pigeon
same.
Ridge.
Oh, yeah.
Steve took bids on that, and the other company, I don't think wanted.
Nobody else did.
Well, I think,
That's
the other
probably-
was Walker, but I don't think it had to do with it.
Here's his invoice.
Oh,
All this is my paper.
I passed by it,
Yeah,
I'm
you're
sorry.
all right, it's not, it's tiny. Is this for the tree?
Pigeon Roost,
Pigeon Ridge, yeah.
the Widowmaker.
Yeah.
John Boyd is on that. While he's looking at that.
I'm gonna say I agree to this, but because of the costs are in line, but this is about $1,100 more than what we originally, was the original quote.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
For what's it talking about?
He said the original quote was differed by $1,100
Less,
for the removal of the tree.
yeah. But now,
I don't
its
know.
prices are in line, okay, I'm gonna say that, I don't want, it's in line. But it is about $1,100 more than what, we said it was gonna be to begin with.
To get,
I think that maybe got quoted twice. I think originally it may have been just taking down the big dead ash right up front, and then he ended up quoting taking that down and the sycamore in the back. I actually
So
think
that-
that estimate.
it was-
Actually, I think there was 3 trees, wasn't there?
Yeah,
Yeah, see, because I thought it was 3 trees for, 1,800 or $1,700. $1,700.
I don't know. I
I
can't
think
remember
he
that far
gave the
back.
estimate twice, we added some trees.
Okay.
I got it at the office, I'm pretty sure it's correct.
do you wanna wait?
No, I think it doesn't matter, yeah, he deserves it.
All right,
So
so,
I approve,
He
it's
did
just,
work equivalent
I
to
had
that.
question about,
Why the
what we
prices.
originally heard and what it is now. Does he earn it? Yes,
Yeah.
it's worth what we're paying.
Okay.
all right, so I'll entertain a motion to pay Ross Tree Service $2,800 for removal of several trees, I'm gonna say, at Pigeon Roost.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
And could you add to the motion the fund to pay it from, which would be the rental proceeds fund, which is your venture account?
Yeah.
And, we'll,
Yeah, what she said.
what she said. So Randy made a motion, John seconded it, and I'll make that unanimous, so. The next one is, Indiana Auditors Association for $400.
I can explain that one. Teresa and I are gonna go to auditors conference, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that a little bit later here. But we're gonna go to auditors conference, and that's our registration fees, and that is state called, and there's a special fund that's set aside at the county that for any state called conference, that's paid for through a special fund at the county, so it's not, it's already appropriated for that purpose. So we just tap into that fund, to be able to travel, and any elected official that have a state called conference, those conference registration fees are paid from that particular fund.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Randy makes a motion,
Second.
I'll make that unanimous.
Thank you.
Let me jump off track here just real quick, talking about, the Auditor Association. We was all over, the Southeast Conference recently, and ever since I've been here, there's always been a push for us to, belong to the National Association. I think it's a little more expensive, but I wouldn't mind being a part of the National Association of Counties. Because they always have a lot of stuff, and we deal solely with the state, and I just thought there might be some benefits for us there.
I don't even know.
I'm just throwing it out.
I don't know anything about that I mean, if we can find out what the cost is to be in it and what,
Yeah,
you know, do they meet, what kind of, you know, do we have a conference or, you know, if we can find out some more information on that, appreciate it.
I'll look that up. It's on they got a website.
Okay.
So, and I think it probably is a little more expensive. That might be a hang up. But also we're missing out on something there.
Well, we could be, and some opportunity to maybe, get some additional,
Yeah, you don't know.
special, you know, contacts with some other people, so.
Yeah.
There's another claim here for Bittnam Supply LLC for $174,692.70, and I believe that's for paving, materials and whatnot from the highway department, so.
Yeah, Bitumen, K-Tech Specialty, Construction Machinery, and Thomas Plastics all have to do with the community crossings paving projects.
So you wanna combine those all
If
three
you would
together?
want to say all the claims,
All right.
I'll list them out on my minutes.
Bittnam was, like I said, 174,692.70. K-Tech Specialty, looks like, $3,083.83. And Construction Machinery, $8,640. And Thomas Plastics, $3,075. So I'll entertain a motion to accept those, additional, accounts.
What was, the total price?
$3,075, and you're asking what that was for?
I've got the big detail down here. They're all clumped together. Here, Thomas Plastics was hauling of asphalt, because they had to have the supply trucks running at more timely intervals.
Couldn't get it here.
Yes, they couldn't get it here fast, and so the hauling bill.
So I'll entertain a motion. Randy makes a motion, John seconds it, and I'll make that unanimous for, the payment of additional appropriations. Or claims, I should say, not appropriations. Next thing up is, hang on a minute. Oh, never mind, it's down here. The 2022 holiday schedule. It looks like everybody's got a copy of that in front of us.
It's in this pile somewhere. There you go.
And also, I guess, 2021 transfer station hours and Christmas breaks, so.
Can we talk about that one first? Because where they run Saturday hours, our 2021 holiday schedule for Christmas is gonna be Thursday,
these?
Friday. Yeah, that's it. I gave you two because there's two options.
Okay, all right, I was like,
Why is it duplicate?
what do I have to?
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
But the 2021 Christmas break for the transfer station, so we can get the news out there early for people, because everybody be wanting to get rid of trash after Christmas or around Christmas. Our county holiday for 2021 is Thursday and Friday due to the way the days fall. But the transfer station opens up for half a day on Saturday, and that's the only department that's like a public department besides law enforcement EMS that runs a Saturday schedule and dispatch. So we are suggesting, so we can get good public notification out there, to let the transfer station work half day Thursday and take half day Thursday, all day Friday, and be off Saturday. And just clear that weekend out and not make them come back for half a day after, and just make them work half a day Thursday. And because Seared is wanting the Southeastern Recycling District and Miss Glass and those people are kind of wanting to know what our transfer station schedule is, so that they kind of know how to plan too. So that's why that's on there kind of special. So if you guys so move, then we could just adopt just for them those special holiday hours this year.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that way we can put it on the website and everybody will be fully aware of it.
Okay.
So they will, for Christmas, they will close Thursday afternoon and reopen Monday.
Yes.
Okay.
I got a question back to the transfer station, and so we're good with advertising for a full-time person out there. Okay, all right, I just wanna make sure we're doing that, so. All right, so what's the second option here?
All right, the thing with the holiday schedule 22 is the first option, New Year's Day, says Friday, December 31st to 2021. because New Year's Day falls on a Saturday. We typically take Saturday on Friday and Sunday holidays on Monday, but that technically gives us, and I don't know that it makes a big deal one way or the other, because it's not like, you know, it's not gonna affect the budget or anything, but,
But I had a question there, because I know what you're saying. But you're going to pay a 2022 holiday in another year, correct? Am I thinking that right?
yeah.
So, is that going to cause because it's gonna go on somebody's check in the next year?
And it's okay tax-wise, I think, because that's in a pay period, so unless there's a weird something with that pay period ending, I don't know that that's gonna matter a whole lot for budget. It's not like an additional extra money they're gonna get, because it's incorporated with their budget.
I mean, I know it's gonna work out, but I mean, I'm just saying that you're technically, instead of paying X amount of holidays in 2022, you're paying another one in 23.
Yes, yeah, so
So,
if,
I don't have a problem with that, I just wanna make sure people,
Right.
the employees understand
that,
when you get your last check for 2022, it's not gonna have this in there.
that's
It's-
not the holiday, yeah, it's gonna be taken on a 21 date, like you said, and not taken on a 22 date. So, I mean, some people might say, oh, great, I can have New Year's Eve off now, you know, or, wow, I can have the Monday off after, so it's up to you guys.
So this is what we want to do.
So, that's the way we would take it if we go with the Friday, Saturday, Sunday rule, okay, that we've always used for the taking of the holidays. So it's just up to you guys.
Well, if that's the case, then this one that you have where New Year's Day is Friday, December 31st,
It's really, technically, it's Saturday, January the 1st. But the holiday that we would take as a county employee falls back to the day before. Because it's
well, then
Saturday, it goes to the
then what I
Friday.
said is not true then, because technically, well, no,
They're off
it
on
is.
Saturday regardless, most.
I think it'd be better, quite honestly, I think it'd be better to have it on the Friday. And
I do too, better for employees.
I think they'll enjoy that more
Yeah.
than,
Then
they just
having
need
it
to
the Monday
be, but
after.
they need to be explained
Yeah.
that.
It's gonna
the
look like their
pay-
holidays are
that's-
short in the
yeah.
next year, and they're not,
That's-
because they took it in
Like you
21.
say, what's that do, landfill, that just depends on whether it's full-time or part-time, whoever got that.
Because, yeah, right, because we only get the one day.
We'll have-
Christmas is a 2-day deal, and that's why we need to work out the 2 days in a row with the transfer station, but New Year's Day is just 1 day. So they'll have to work
Depends on,
how they wanna take
Depends on how we got
it.
it.
We'll
The
have
transfer
full-time.
station would probably wanna actually, take Friday afternoon off and be closed Saturday on New Year's Day.
Yeah.
So we'll just work their hours out accordingly.
I'll entertain a motion to accept the holiday schedule with the New Year's Day, Friday, December 31st on 2021, and that would,
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that one.
I'll make that unanimous,
Thank
so.
you.
You got any comments? Good.
On the hours, one site, which it says the transfer station site, and one that says the landfill site, they have different conflicting hours posted online.
You talking about out at the landfill, so,
Yeah.
okay, Josh was supposed to change that.
Well.
So you're saying the
one-
sign-
Where it says the transfer station,
No,
it
she's
says
saying
till
online.
3:30, 9 to 3:30. But the site that's listed under Scott County Landfill and Reuse Center says, 9 to 3:45, and then 8 to 12 on Saturday.
We just need to change that.
And I'm
But I
gonna,
don't know what the source of that, so I don't know who's
Well,
maintained
it's,
that.
let's see.
if we hire somebody.
If you look under
Those hours
Scott
will go
County
back.
Landfill and Reuse Center,
Yeah,
Well,
that says different
yeah,
hours.
I get
than
what you're
one
saying.
that
Is
says-
that from
I wanna hire
like a
somebody.
Yelp or
yeah,
a?
if we wanna change over, we can, but
I mean, if
The
something breaks
official
down, then we
posting
need
is
to
on the
look at
county
that at the
website.
time, but
So,
yeah,
if
there's
some
no-
other
I mean,
source
Yeah,
hasn't
there's a
picked
lot
that
of-
up
I was
yet,
just doing a, hey, what
Well,
if, I mean,
yeah.
so.
cause if it's one
I
of those
searched it with Google.
search engines that
If you put in Google, which is most commonly used one now, like I said, you search under Scott County Landfill Reuse Center, it's different than if you look up under Scott County Transfer. And I'm assuming the transfer one is the county website?
The transfer station should be on the county website.
And we,
Yeah.
and that's what we changed, the official county website posting. But if something like Yelp or About Town
It's
or
not-
whatever it is
well,
picking it up different.
It's not Yelp, okay?
But-
I
but
know what
it's
Yelp
not
is,
right,
it's not Yelp,
right.
no, it's just, you just put in,
But it's
Scott
not,
County
it's not the
landfill.
county website.
no, it's not a county
Okay.
website, I don't think. I don't know if this is something.
Well,
I know.
hopefully,
I don't know how to
if,
change it.
hopefully if we hire, I'm gonna assume that we're gonna hire a full-time employee out there, it will go back to the 345.
Yes.
Because they'll be a full-time employee and not have to worry about the part-time stuff, so. And that's our intentions, is to hire a full-time person,
Okay.
so.
Like I said, it says, one is the Scott County website, you're correct about that, and that one is got what we talked about last time.
Mhm.
And like I said, this other one though, if you just type in Scott County landfill, but it's not a Yelp type website, it's like, I'm thinking maybe it's an older website.
That somebody's redid and a new
Well,
one or
maybe one that
something,
the county used, I don't know.
so. Okay, well, we'll look at it, and make sure,
Yeah.
but hopefully, you know, in the next short time, we'll have somebody.
Okay, well, like I said, I mean, if you get a call and they wanna know why he's not out there,
Well, we're gonna change it on the gate, or we should be
And Josh
changed.
did, he went out
Yeah, he
there.
went, that's what I thought she was talking about.
Yeah, at first I thought she meant the posting.
Well, actually, let's see if we can get Andrew to just pull it, see wherever something's out there, and maybe he can go and change it or something.
yeah, this is just, if you just type in Scott County, Indiana landfill, that's this other one pops up, and it's got those 3:45 hours.
Well, I would guess within 6 weeks,
Cause I've noticed, since
we'll
I
have
live
it all
out there,
figured out.
I
that
think
when
we
we
can
have
have-
problems with people
We all be
Still-
throwing
I
stuff
still
over
don't
the
get that
fence,
from Andrew
it's when,
to,
like, a
highway
holiday
department.
that's not.
Oh,
So
normal.
like,
yeah, I do
that way
too.
There's no, you
People don't
Yep.
think.
I
and
think
I
so.
have to run out there all the
If
time
they're
to
gonna
know
be
something.
That-
like-
Yeah,
if
I agree.
that's
Or
I
if
think
it
that's right.
closed, you know, for some reason it had to close early, that's when they get mad and
Well,
they just throw stuff.
Like
over
the New
fence.
Year's that's gonna happen, the transfer station technically to get their whole day off, because they only work half a day Saturday, which is actually New Year's, will be closed Saturday and half a day Friday. So people may think they can run out Friday afternoon to the transfer station and dump their trash, but they're gonna be closed for New Year's by Friday
Well, we can
afternoon.
get it put in the paper.
And so we'll just make notice in the paper, so they'll know the holiday hours for Christmas and New Year's together. So, and then we can put it on the county website, that, you know, the transfer station will be closed these hours for holidays.
Yeah, well, and then,
We all agree
did you put anything in
Steve,
the newspaper about?
I don't know, I'd like to ask him.
Till 3:30 now?
Maybe we should.
No,
I'm
because he
just
changed it on the
wondering.
website, I mean, you may have, Mark,
Well, I
I
heard
don't
there
know,
was
I
two
didn't,
people
I didn't ask the
interested,
people to
but-
do it.
Well, there was two called me, Steve was one of them, he said he wanted full time, I said, he thought I just meant for him, yeah, you're all my, no. Yeah,
Because they do that,
We'll
and then
talk.
the animals get into
Yeah.
it, and it's a whole lot worse mess for somebody to clean.
we got two good choices.
Let's, ratifying the payroll for September 24th, 2021. Everybody had an opportunity to look at payroll claims?
Yep.
I'll entertain a motion to accept those.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
I'll make that unanimous. Consideration of the September 1st, 2021 public hearing and regular meeting minutes. Everybody had an opportunity to look at the minutes.
I would request one amendment to both of the sections that list the different public hearings. By property, I would just add that, the hearings were conducted following a title search, and each of the parties having an interest in the property were provided, were served notice prior to those hearings.
Let's, if you guys don't mind, approve those contingent upon his
As-
amending that with me.
As amended.
As amended, and then he and I'll work on that real quickly and get you to sign for you, Lee.
I'll entertain a motion to accept the wording that our attorney is going to provide for the public hearing.
Contingent. I'll make a motion.
I'll say that.
I'll make that unanimous, so. Well, it looks like we have an employee extended leave.
Maybe? No? That's cancel that one.
Worked late this afternoon, and she is returning to work Friday.
Okay, that's good.
Very good.
All right, I'm going to do something here that I'm going to ask for a amendment to the agenda to ask for a for me to entertain a motion, or I'm gonna, and this has to do with, I guess I need to tell you what it has to do with, but this has to do with a, I guess, a precedent that has happened in the past with sheriffs that have left the department, whether they've left after 4 years, after they've left after 8 years, they've left after 7 years, or they've left after a year. It's always been precedent that sheriff leaves the department with his service weapon that he, I guess, obtained as the sheriff. And I will say the person that I'm gonna, well, actually, first of all, I need to ask if you guys will let me amend the agenda to even bring this up, but that's why I'm asking
I
for it.
think there's already a policy for that. Isn't there? With the
I'll make a
sheriff,
motion, let you amend
the
it.
sheriff or a retired person gets to keep their duty weapon.
I
Well,
wanna say it's a Indiana statute?
there is
some
an
kind of
Indiana,
law.
there's an Indiana State Police statute, but each county, I'm just wanting to clarify something, and I mean, and I'll explain it if you guys will let me amend the motion.
There is a,
Or the agenda.
it doesn't specify like state police or police. There's a state statute that says whenever a police officer who retires after 20 years of service, after at least 20 years of service, the police officer may retain the officer's service weapon. The officer is entitled to receive in recognition a badge that indicates that he's retired. Upon retirement, the state police department shall issue the police officer an identification card that states the police officer's name, rank of retirement, states the officer's retired status, and notes the authority to retain the service weapon. This deals with, I mean, it appears to deal with law enforcement in general. Restricts it to those officers that serve at least 20 years. But a reading of that statute, I think you could say, obviously they don't want to force people to take their service weapon, so it says, uses the word may rather than shall, retain their service weapon. We're not going to make people take that. There's another way to read that where only those people who have served are entitled to receive it. I think if you're saying that there's a policy that's been, first off, I think you're right. Before you get too deep into it, you do need to ask to amend the agenda, which I believe has to be unanimous.
Yeah, so I'm asking two other commissioners if they would allow me to amend the agenda to bring up this point.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Randy makes a motion, John seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous. So now that we're going to bring this up so we can vote or whatever, talk about it or whatever, but I think everybody, I don't know if Randy's aware of it, but I think, John, you were aware that, I think everybody's aware that Dan McLean was elected for an 8-year term. Dan left with, I think it was 6 years and some time, short of the 7-year point, I think, or right at the 7-year, to become a U.S. Marshal at that time, a duly sworn, or actually a Republican caucused, and another Republican sheriff, which was Sheriff Eubanks. And at that time, he served out the rest of Dan McLean's term. After that, upon leaving, Sheriff Eubanks retained his service weapon that he obtained during his time as the local sheriff. And that, just to clarify, that gun was purchased through the commissary and wasn't used with taxpayers' money or through his budget. And I don't know if I need to really go into all the other stuff that happened and why I'm even entertaining this. But there was an investigation about a lost weapon, which, and I'm gonna say that I was drug into it too, because I was chased by an Indiana State detective for several months about it, but, I'm wanting to clarify this, that and here's what I'm asking, and I'm gonna make the motion. I'm going to make a motion that the Board of Commissioners, award, former Sheriff Kenny Eubanks his service or weapon, I keep wanting to say revolver, his service weapon that was purchased through the commissary, for him to retain that weapon as the past sheriff. So that's my motion.
Let me, hang on just a minute. By the way, I think we've got a precedent for this being done in the past. I'm pretty sure.
It has.
I'm pretty sure when Rex left, we made special arrangements, make sure he is. I'm not worried about that. I'm for this. I want to make sure we're not doing something that would be considered an obstruction of justice if there's an investigation.
The
Well, I'm gonna
investigation's been closed.
No.
That's all, I'm just asking.
I know that.
I'm asking for attorney clarification.
Well, but that's why, I'm bringing this up, because there is an open investigation sitting over at the sheriff's. Go ahead.
Yeah, so, we don't talk about
Yeah, I agree with that.
investigations, but, I wanna be real clear that the only thing the county can do is disclaim any county, if it was a county vehicle, for instance, if the county had an interest in that vehicle, an ownership interest, we could dedicate it, right? Disclaim an interest in it. That's essentially what you're doing with the service weapon, not inconsistent with any other statutory provision in the state of Indiana that will control over an ordinance or any other action by a county body, okay? So that's the only thing I would say, is
We're not doing anything illegal.
I think all you're saying is that the county intended at the time that he was to
Okay.
retain that service weapon.
Yeah, and I'm all for that. I just want to make sure we're not getting
It's not-
ourselves in it.
And I want to clarify, this, what I'm asking, has nothing to do with an investigation that is present, past, or future. I'm saying that as a Board of Commissioners, I want to be able to award our past sheriff, his service revolver, or his service weapon that is almost like it's been done with every sheriff or in some deputies in the past. And they didn't have to reach the 20-year, 25-year mark to do that, so.
And especially when,
Are you gonna do this for every deputy?
No, this is for the sheriff.
No, I mean, no. but
In the past, sheriffs always
Yeah,
walked away with,
I understand for the sheriff, but you just said deputy.
no, in the past, when a deputy has reached that milestone too, and they retired, they took their they had one weapon they could take.
You said,
Hang on.
first off, you said even if they were just on a year.
I'll make it real
No,
clear. I'll
that's-
make it
That's
through.
what you said at first.
No,
though.
I was talking about the sheriff. He served 1 year. That's a sheriff's a totally different animal.
Real clear, any law enforcement officer who serves at least 20 years, deputy sheriff, sheriff,
Yeah, I know that, because I.
Okay.
Hang on.
Police, I know
Well,
that, yeah.
hang on, please.
all, that statute is its own rule, okay? I've already stated there's kind of two different ways to read that. I don't think it would necessarily prohibit what your intent is here. You have a precedent of allowing a sheriff to retain that service weapon at the end of his career. And I don't know the facts behind this, but based on what you're saying, it doesn't appear that it was even purchased with county funds. But if it was, you're disclaiming any county interest in that property.
Yeah.
Okay, that's just to make it clear.
Well, I'm good with it. I just want to make sure we're not overriding our steps here.
Well, again, I want to clarify, my motion has nothing to do with any investigation. It's just that as a Board of Commissioners, I want to award one of our past sheriffs, and I'm going to name him by name. I mean, Sheriff Eubanks, his service weapon to him as an award of the Board of Commissioners. So that's my motion.
As long as we're legal, I'm for that. I think it's okay to do this.
I'll second that motion.
And I'll make the motion too.
All right, so I made the motion, Randy seconded that, and John made it unanimous. So with that, John, you got anything you want to bring up?
No, sir.
Randy, you got anything?
Nope.
I'm not gonna ask you.
I'm gonna tell you though.
You got anything?
I want to report on tax sale, because we
Oh,
had the
there we
first
go.
online tax sale. It closed today at 2 o'clock. And we had over 100 registered bidders because we went online. This is from.
This property tax sale.
This property tax sale, yes. And it's real property tax sale, there's no trailers, no personal property, or anything like that. And, not that the county retains the funds, but we do need to keep, we do get to keep the funds on ice, so to speak, and earn the interest on the funds. But we had actually over $48,528.86 in delinquent property taxes over 20 properties of the 33 that we listed that were sold. Ended up netting $734,158.48 that's gonna be sitting in the county bank account, earning interest until the whole process has a 365 days cycle to work itself out. So
So-
those funds will diminish over time, but,
So to explain how a tax sale works is that if someone's delinquent on their taxes, it goes to tax sale.
after 18 months.
The homeowner or the landowner still has an opportunity to make that good for, after so many days.
365 days.
365 days, and if he makes good on it, does the person that originally bought the thing get his money back?
He gets plus interest and a settlement fee of like 10%, and then after 6 months, if the property's not redeemed, but they redeem in the last 6 months of the cycle, the 365-day cycle, they get a 15% on the tax amount paid. So if it's $1,000, they'll get $150 automatically after 6 months, it's redeemed. And then if there's a surplus bid, which is the difference of the 681,000 plus that we had between the taxes that were due and the amounts that were actually bid on the properties, that is an interest rate of 5%, which you can't hardly make that on any money right now. Over the course of if someone waits 365 days, they collect 5% of whatever the tax surplus interest would be.
So at what point does, if the person that owns the original owner, at what point after the 365 days, if they still don't come in and pay it, defaults to the new person that,
There's a 30-day window, I call it the 13th month of redemption, that you can actually appeal to a judge if you feel like you have not been properly notified, if your person is ready to lose the ownership of the property. The lien process is that the judge will not award any tax deeds to the lien buyer until after the 30th day from the redemption period. So that gives them a 30-day window to appeal to the courts.
so it's 365 plus 30, and
And
then
then you
after
can
that,
get
if they haven't done anything, then the person that originally bought the auction, or at the auction,
It's awarded by
is
court.
awarded the property.
Mhm.
Okay, well,
And then any surplus goes to the original owner. And that's what a lot of people don't realize, is that, say, for example, I have a home and it looks really good, and the tax lien buyer comes in and say I owe $5,000 in taxes, and they bid $100,000 for my property. They actually, if I lose my property and I don't redeem, which would be the $5,000 plus all the interest and the extra fees, I would actually get $95,000 after the tax sale is over and they take my property.
Everybody shows up at them things, you know what?
Well,
Because they've purchased my home for that. And I owe the treasurer, so they take that out, and I get the difference.
well, it's a
Yeah.
game.
It
I
is.
mean, but like I said, that's interesting to know that, so.
Yep.
With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I've got one more thing.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I'm
Go ahead.
sorry. But Teresa and I will be attending that auditors
Probably
conference.
ought to have him clear.
I'm sorry.
I'll talk private.
Go ahead.
Auditors conference on the 20th and the 21st, which is your next meeting. Would you all be interested in moving your meeting to the 19th at 5 o'clock?
All right, me.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Are you okay with that? So
Just
we'll just
remind
post it,
me.
and I will remind you. And I'll try to keep it as short and sweet as possible, because we've got to go to Indianapolis the next morning.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay,
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
John made a motion,
I'll second.
Randy seconds, I'll make it unanimous. Kill the owl.
No, what I was gonna say was,
Hang on just a second. No,
we probably
please.
ought to